Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Zoom webinar number 5, the questions and answers. This is take 2 of the webinar. Yes, it is. I got some fabulous learnings on what not to do when updating a Zoom webinar app. It is not a good idea for anyone who's watching this to do an update 40 minutes before you go on camera. Or sometimes your settings get undone and then the recording doesn't exist. So, valuable learning experience. I get to do this webinar all over again so that all of the people who were not able to make it yesterday are able to see all the questions getting answered, whether it's your own or other students. We all learn from one another. And it's great to see you again, all my beautiful Master Trainer participants. And I will try and stick as closely as I can to everything I answered yesterday, as a lot of things were jotted down as notes and a lot of things were just coming out spontaneously. So let's see how it looks today. Anyway, I still want to give an immense, gorgeous thank you and a huge shout out to my coaching assistant team out in the NLP trainers training in Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for your assistance. It is now day 3 of eval. Yesterday was day 2 when I did the webinar, so thank you so much. We appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts at the Tad James Company. If you've ever worked with me on a coaching assistant team, you know how much I adore every single one of you. I love working with you. You guys are excellent, best people in the world to work next to. And I know Tad and Adriana and Steph and Shay all feel the same way. And everybody in Australia, Connor, Bogdan, Brad, Callum, the whole team. If I didn't mention anyone, I'm sorry about that, but everyone, we very, very, very much appreciate everything you do to help not only shape the next generation of trainers who are going out there to transform the planet alongside all of us here in the Master Trainer Program, but the depth that you add to the experience of the Tad James Company for the students, the value that they receive is beyond anything we can thank you for. We are truly grateful. And also for anybody who's assisted a practitioner or a master practitioner or a hypnosis weekend or Secret of Creating Your Future weekend, we appreciate you as well, and the APEP program. So thank you again. Special shout out to you guys. You'll be able to watch this video now and have your questions being answered. And thank you again for joining us, everyone who was on live yesterday. So I'll just get right into the questions. Our first one is from Mihaela in Romania. When yesterday it was 1 a.m. her time when she logged in. So thank you so much for doing that. Her first question is, hi Laura and Tad James Company team. Hi. Thanks for the opportunity to ask questions. We're happy to answer them for everyone who is participating in this webinar and in the Master Trainer Program. Regarding timeline therapy section, one of my students from my first practitioner, he wasn't able to associate well and do the exercises accurately. He is a business owner, a strong AD, and he hardly discovered his timeline. I teach them the prime directives of the unconscious mind and all the needed reframings. Could you please advise me the best way to cope in these situations? Well, Mihaela, I have to tell you, some of my favorite people I work with in the world are the highly conscious-minded, highly dissociated, high AD people in the world. Because the moment at which they discover the power of their unconscious mind and how it can create results beyond their greatest imagination is when you turn someone who is highly conscious or highly skeptical or has never experienced their unconscious mind to the biggest believer in the world of the power of the unconscious mind. They scream your name from the rooftops, whether it's your student or practitioner training or a client in your coaching services. So I get excited with these challenges. Maybe not other people do, but I would start getting excited because think about this. If they're highly dissociated, are they just not feeling their negative emotions or are they not feeling their positive emotions either, right? how do you know? It's not a rule, don't make a rule out of it, but the moment someone can finally associate and feel the joy and fulfillment of their life, and other people start noticing it, then guess whose name is attached to those results? Yours. So get excited. I'm going to give you some ideas on how to get to that point, but these are my favorite people to work with. Turn my biggest skeptics into my biggest believers, and they're my biggest form of advertisement. So rest assured, we're going to get there. So first of all, he's a business owner. So probably his logical, conscious mind has made him very successful in the past. Maybe he has the responsibility of many people's lives as employees in there, and his conscious decisions every single day affect the lives of others. So we can't blame him for that, obviously, but we want to get him results for the context in which he's in. If it's a practitioner, or it looks like maybe you're doing one-on-one coaching with him, it would not serve a purpose for him to still be so attached to his conscious mind. So therefore, we make it easy for him to let his conscious mind sit on the sidelines just for a moment, just while he's in the setting of the coaching or the training context, just so he can get the most profound results. Now, if you're any way like me, you have an undeniable knowledge, 100% certainty that he will get the results, because timeline therapy always works. People always find their timeline. And NLP or any of the tools and techniques you're using in your training will always work with 100% results, because your belief system's there, just as mine is and just as anyone else is in this field, because we've seen the power of this. We need to then move what we know inside of us and allow them to experience the same thing. So it requires the laser sharp focus of, no matter if he says there's no such thing as a timeline, we have to, as a coach or a trainer, do 100% what our role is in that situation to get them to displace enough resistance of their conscious mind or the critical faculty to get it. Now, however that happens can be a very efficient process to the extent that you do pre-framing to set up the expectations of what the coaching is, right? Because we can't expect a highly conscious-minded person, a high AD person, to understand this stuff unless we set up the expectations and kind of bridge the gap from where they are to where they need to understand how quickly timeline therapy can work and how easily they can access their timeline. Okay, so the success of doing that quickly and efficiently is by the pre-framing that you do. So I would, in that situation, I always set up cause versus effect. Now, that is a standard frame. So what we were just talking about before, like 2 seconds ago, about doing 100% what you need to as a trainer, as a coach, that even starts, you're setting that up, that whole structure, even in the coaching agreement, right? You're having the client sign off that they will play at 100% as the client, and you will play at 100% as the coach. Meaning they don't have to know everything you're going to do. They just have to follow your instructions and play at 100% and be 100% supportive to the process. Just as you, in the situation where the client couldn't find their timeline, it's 100% your responsibility to do whatever it takes to assist them in finding their timeline. So we're going to even start with that, because that's already creating the agreement of, hey, it's not your job to understand this yet, but it's your job to play it 100%. So now we go into cause versus effect, reasons versus results. They're taking responsibility 100% of what it means to be a client. So however you explain it, we all have our different way of explaining it. You can hear it in the audio collections, how Tad and Adriana explain it. If you're not doing it in such a way, you can always bounce ideas off the forum, because the forum is a place where we can all come together and bounce ideas off with one another. That's another great thing. But just explaining it in such a way so that they can, just for the moment of the context of your training or in the context of their coaching, adopt the mindset that everything in the reality, the sum total of all their conscious and unconscious choices led them to where they're at now. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'm going to have bad results in my business here. I think I'm going to make my profitability go down, or whatever he's coming to see you for. Nobody wakes up and says that, but there may have been an unconscious choice that happened. And if we take responsibility that sometime, maybe long in the past or maybe in the recent past, at an unconscious level, we chose something maybe unrelated that resulted in profitability in the business going down, or having a bad relationship, or God forbid, a health problem, that if they adopt that mindset that, okay, I didn't wake up and choose to have X, Y, Z type of bad life, but unconsciously, if for the purpose of empowerment, because that's what cause and effect really does, it moves the client in the position to be 100% empowered, then just for that moment, or they can take that mindset out into other contexts once they leave your office or once they leave your training room, but just for here, for them to get the utmost empowerment, for them to take responsibilities so that they can have results in their life. This is when I sell them again on all the ideas why they're seeing me. Like, if and when you adopt this mindset so intrinsically, then you will have everything you're seeing me for. You're going to have better results than you ever imagined in your business, in your relationships, in your health, in your relationships with your friends and family. All your dreams and goals and your elimination of all your problems will happen as a result for you adopting this mindset of empowerment right now. Because when you're empowered, you have power over everything. And no limiting decision or limiting belief or X person did such and such to me can ever take my power away from me, because right at this moment, I'm taking responsibility for everything. Now, yes, are the pre-frames a little bit of a sales pitch of what's going on? Yeah, because I want my client to be excited. I want my client to be so excited to figure out how to use their unconscious mind that they wouldn't have a choice other than to follow my instructions. Okay, because they don't know what to expect in a coaching situation. You and I have had the privilege of listening to audio collections over and over again before we step foot into a practitioner situation. Our clients don't have that same privilege. We have to kind of sell them on these mindsets, or encourage them or inspire them on these mindsets so that they have the best results and we have the most efficient coaching session, so that we can get, so your client can get more bang for their buck, and we can go through a lot more techniques and trial and error things. So to be experimental with what we've learned. Why not? We have somebody in front of us who's paying us, might as well give them everything. So that cause and effect is a big one. Perception is projection as well. So they, again, can utilize everything they see around them in their reality for more empowerment, so that they can see out there all the things that they love in the people around them. So they're like, wow, that amazing person, that's me. That's empowering. That means that characteristic that I love is locked in here. Well, let's get to it. Yeah, it's stored in my unconscious mind. Great. Let's do it, because the projections are not coming from the conscious mind concept. Let's utilize it. Or, oh, that jerk so-and-so in my office, that's me. Well, then you have to explain, well, yes, all that greatness is you, and that which is not that great is also you. However, it's not a like-to-like metaphor. What's the metaphor and what you see in that person, that when you get to that place, you have more knowledge about yourself, so we can move you quickly, more efficiently towards your goals. So that's a perception is projection, because that, again, we heard, when we were live in the practitioner, we already heard Tad talk about this on the NLP practitioner audio. The first time a client sits in your office, perception is projection can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes, especially if they were massively on the effect side of the equation, playing the blame game. Okay, and blame either towards self-blame, or blame towards others. So being as soft and as direct as necessary in perception as projection to get to more empowerment, or to have the client be able to look around them and direct that intention back in them to know themselves better, so that you can coach them quicker to the results. So I spend a good amount of time on that. Also, what's the difference between the unconscious mind's role and the conscious mind's role in a person's life, in a person's results, in a person's experience of everything that they've experienced up to this point, and what they're going to experience in your coaching session or in your practitioner training, and then beyond, out into the future. So that part, like the handling the prime directives of the unconscious mind is great in the practitioner setting. However, you may need to expand upon what that all means so that the person understands the benefit of letting go of their conscious concepts of things, or letting go of their conscious grip to reality. Because if their conscious grip of reality is so tight, of course they're not going to find their timeline, because where in the physical plane does the timeline exist? It doesn't. We have to actively imagine it. So at this point, this is where I bring to mind, what's the difference between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind? I could say the conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. It's the part of our mind that's always constantly seeking out and searching opportunities that match what we've set out as our goal from our conscious mind, right? So that's one thing. Or, how quickly does the unconscious mind learn, right? Or how quickly can an unconscious mind get rid of a habit? Well, very quickly. Did you ever try and drop a habit consciously? How did that work for you? It may have looked like to that person, like consciously trying to, let's say, quit smoking using just their conscious mind. Well, that might have been a long, arduous process for them, or whatever habit that they've tried to break consciously, and using mantras and all these different things. For the conscious mind to hold that information is a very limited process. Well, what about the unconscious mind? Well, the unconscious mind, think about how expansive this is. That's the part of our mind that's responsible for beating our heart, for breathing us when you're sleeping. You can't consciously say, okay, Laura, breathe now. Okay, exhale. Okay, beat the heart, move this muscle, all that stuff. So whatever explanation you have to give them about the unconscious mind, maybe even say how quickly the unconscious mind learns things. You can learn to drop a habit just as quickly as you can learn how to ride a bike. Now, have you ever taken any child to go learn how to ride a bike and just do one pedal one day every weekend for 10 weeks? No. You get them up on the bike, they wobble a little bit on the training wheels, then you take the training wheels off, they wobble a little bit, they fall, they get back on the bike, they run a little, they ride a little bit more, wobble a little bit, do an autocorrect, maybe fall one more time, and then the next time they're gone. That can happen in a matter of 10 minutes to 2 hours, but that's how quick the unconscious mind is. It's responsible for all those things. The motor coordination, the hand-eye coordination, the balance, all those things that we can't consciously think of. Oh, move the handlebar this way and shift your weight that way. No, that's not how it works. So if you're setting all these examples up, like for an example, when I say about the unconscious mind and the conscious mind with a business person, I did a lot of coaching with day traders. Okay, so this is something, these people are highly logical, smart. They do a lot of research. They're researching the trends. They're researching so much in the market in order to be so good with people's money, right? They have to be logical. However, only those people who are in touch with their unconscious mind, but they're not conscious of it, are the ones who can make split decisions based on gut instinct to be ahead of the trends. So I always say, okay, how is it that you knew how to sell when you sold to make all that money for X client or, X company? Well, they're like, well, I did the research, I saw where it was going, and then I just had a feeling. Great, where did that feeling come from? And they'll do something. Usually you'll see in their analog behavior, they'll do something. I don't know, I just had like this feeling bubble up inside me. Okay, good. That we're gonna call an intuition or a notion from your unconscious mind. Okay, so I want you to remember that right now. Because your brain didn't tell you do it now, you had a feeling, and then you made a split decision in logic. You matched them together. So that's your unconscious mind, your conscious mind working together here. So I get them to remember that, because that's going to be important when they're going into timeline therapy, right? Eliciting a timeline. Well, how do they know where their timeline is? Is that coming from their logical concept, or did they get a feeling or a sensation or an inner knowing, or a sense, if they're not visual, if they're highly auditory digital, right? So it's a balance of pre-framing it so that you can utilize it later so that things happen quickly. Okay, so that's what I do for highly conscious people. I make a connection to what they're already doing. Like engineers, when I work with them, they're highly logical. They don't understand. I was like, well, how did you build that building that you're an engineer from? Did all of a sudden you just got all the materials, like the physical materials, and just start building? Or where did it start? Oh, it started with a blueprint. Great. How did you know how to draw the blueprint? Well, I saw it in you saw it in your head. Okay, so it didn't exist physically yet, right? No, I saw it. Okay, so you visually constructed it somewhere in your unconscious mind, right? And they're like, oh, I get it. So these are things maybe these aren't elegant, metaphors, but they've worked for me. So just take those ideas, and if his business is important to him, and that's the reason why he's seeing you, help him bridge the difference between the conscious mind of what he's already using, and help him to see that he's already been using and accessing his unconscious mind in some of these situations anyway, and to just trust that part of his mind. Okay. And then the active imagination part right there, I had a little, with the engineer, that's a little bit of a clue. Or when you're setting up the frame of active imagination, in order for timeline therapy to work quickly, easily, effectively, and for you to release negative emotions so quickly, and for you to access your timeline, we're going to use this process called active imagination. So I'd like you to think about, do you have a vacation scheduled coming up or anything? Yeah, in 2 weeks. Okay, good. I want you to close your eyes. I just want you to imagine what it looks like. Oh, do you see the ocean in front of you? Can you feel all the heat of the warm sun just embracing you? Smell the salt air and just feel the breeze, and maybe you even hear the seagulls and the waves crashing. Yeah? Okay, great. That's what we call active imagination. You didn't see a picture of it. You didn't watch a video on YouTube of that vacation. You just actively imagined it as I guided you through that, correct? Good. In the same way, we're going to do that on your timeline. And you're going to actively imagine that there's something called the timeline, because if you're going to take responsibility and be totally empowered of your results, you play 100% in your client role, and I'll play 100% a coach, knowing that when I have you actively imagine this timeline, that's me guiding you to get all those goals that we're setting out to get in this, in this session, or all the goals that you came into this practitioner training for. So breaking it up and then bringing it all together. So again, the person is just ready to let go of the resistance. You're actually giving them permission to have their conscious mind sit on the sidelines and watch the coaching session unfold, knowing that if anything is needed for them, to move forward with the process, then their conscious mind can be watching, but they're not going to be the main player in this game, because if they're the main player, then they're just doing the same thing they did before they came to see you, right? And also knowing that if you already talked about the prime directives of the unconscious mind, well, one of the most important prime directives of the unconscious mind is the unconscious mind's sole job is to protect and to preserve the body. Now, knowing that, if we allow the client's conscious mind to intervene, we're actually setting up the client to not do or be in touch with the part of their mind that's responsible for protecting and preserving the body. So it's going to go in direct conflict. So there is, for us, internal knowing. Maybe you don't have to unpack the prime directives of the unconscious mind again for him or her, but just knowing internally, like, I need to do whatever it takes in this moment, because this client is coming to me for healing in X context of life, protecting and preserving the body, knowing that if they remain in conflict in X area, then I'm assisting them in creating some form of gap in their immune system, let's just say, of the protection and preservation of the body. So let's do whatever it takes in this situation and get them going. And when I mean immune system, I mean like metaphorical, like just to be clear, or not. So, and then also one of the pre-frames is how quickly all these things happen. So how quick the unconscious mind works, how quick it learns, how light, and I always talk about the light bulb moments, light bulb moments happen. Like, how many times have we been in a bad relationship for years and all of a sudden, aha, you have an understanding. You're like, I can't be in this relationship anymore. Or you've tried over and over again. Like I do dancing. I've tried over and over again to do certain dance move and my body doesn't want to move the right way. And I'm trying to make it do this and it's not doing it. And then all of a sudden it clicks. And then my brain coordinates with my body. And that moment is a blink of an eye. So yeah, it was a long process, but the mind integrated something just like that. Now, when you're doing timeline therapy and coaching with people with NLP and hypnosis, you're making a contrived situation for them to have an aha moment. So that mindset happens very quickly. So that's another pre-frame I give about how quickly change can happen at the unconscious level, so they don't have to go in with their conscious mind, oh, change is hard, change takes a long time. Well, no, the process leading up to the aha moment or the light bulb moment might have been long, but that aha moment and the change and the realization happens in a blink of an eye. Cool, because in coaching and in an NLP practitioner training, we're just creating an environment for you to have those aha moments back to back to back. So the change at the unconscious level happens very quickly and lasts a lifetime. Because if you ask somebody with that aha moment in a relationship, if once they learned that thing, would they ever go back to the way they did it? They would be like, no, I would never go back. That learning was so deep and impactful. I'd never go back to someone who treated me so bad or who cheated or who didn't trust me. In the same way, like, I would never go back to doing that dance move the same way because that aha moment happened. I'd never go back to doing the old way. Why would I? It was hard. This was an easier way. So this is how quickly the unconscious mind accepts change and can keep it long lasting. So again, the conscious mind can sit on the sidelines and watch, okay, cool. We paid a lot of money to be here. Let's let that unconscious mind work efficiently and effectively so I can get every dime of value out of this. So, and then I'll pre-frame how quickly the timeline therapy techniques work, or how quick it is to access the timeline. So I'll say in a moment, we're about ready to do timeline therapy. And the amazing thing about this is you have the ability in 10 minutes or less to let go of all the anger on your entire timeline. And most people can release negative emotions in about 5 minutes. But you know what? The first time you're doing it, it may take as long as 10 minutes. Okay, so let's be patient as your unconscious mind's learning, just as you learned how to trust your instincts in your business setting. Your unconscious mind needs to do the same thing here in this coaching setting or in this training setting. Let's just say it was a demo subject. Okay, so we're working with it. We're working with your unconscious mind now and learning how quickly to let it go. And then the next one might be, it may take as long as 10 minutes, but the next one will be, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes even. That's how quickly the unconscious mind learns. Now, we all know, between all of us here who's done timeline therapy for the first time, it could take upwards of 20 minutes, maybe even longer, especially if we don't pre-frame that there's no need to talk yourself through the timeline and talk about all the past lives you're going through. We've all been there. Let's not pretend we haven't. I've been there many times where I let someone talk for a long time. However, that allows them to see how long it can take, right? And they'll always fall shorter than that as the more times you do it. So you could do the same thing. Like, it could take as long as a full minute to really get a sense of where your timeline is. But remember, the unconscious mind, I want the first thing. Don't think about it. Just tell me, where's your timeline? Okay, good. Front to back, side to side, whatever, curly Q around the body, whatever it is. This is active imagination. So that place inside of you that tells you where your timeline is, just let that go. So that's all what I do to set up how quickly things happen. And I keep laser sharp that I'm going to be just as flexible as my client is resistant. So I'm going to move all the way around, finding every single angle, knowing that they're going to find their timeline, and I'm going to help them to do that very quickly, as quickly as they can. And the more that they trust their unconscious mind, the more you allow them to trust their unconscious mind by encouraging that behavior and encouraging their conscious mind to just take a break, then you can move quickly forward in that process. Okay? Beautiful. Thanks, Mahilet. You have another question, so I'm going to go into that right now. Okay. And I want to do with his team, two managers, a business team values alignment. I read the theory from Master Prack and Timeline Therapy in the Basis of Personality by Tad James and Wyatt Woodsmall. As Adriana's feedback from Project One, I will also elicit their meta programs. Could you give me some examples or practical tips? It is the first time I'm convinced that it will be a great success. I am also convinced that it will be a great success, and I'm so happy that you believe that, because you will get what you focus on. Wonderful. So let me go into this real quickly. So this may look familiar to you. This is from our Master Practitioner Manual. Okay. So this is section 3, which is the value section, page 26. I will go over briefly, and thank you, Adriana, for coaching me before I got on this session of all the things that I knew at some level, but you helped me help remind me. Again, guys, I have a master coach too in the Master Trainer program. Her name is Adriana, and also Tad. So basically, step by step. Read this page, and it's called Corporate Values Alignment. Read it step by step and do this step by step. Okay, so what things in this step-by-step process may not make sense to you? I'll go over that briefly, just because I think most people understand how to do it, but just in case, hey, sometimes we like to be reminded of things we already know, right? And it's good. So you're always going to meet with the highest member of the team, or the person who's hiring you for this project, because you're going to elicit his or her values and hierarchy them. Now, this is where it's really funny. People may be like, well, why would I meet with everybody? Can you imagine if, every year in the Tad James Company, we do corporate values alignment with everybody on the team, USA office and the Australia office. Could you imagine? I'd be like, Tad, this year we're going to do Laura Petrie's values. So get ready, baby, because here I come. No, you think that Tad has been in this business for 37 years. You think he needs me to tell him how to run his business or what values are most important here? No. So think of it that way. You're going to go with the person whose business it is, and you're going to elicit and hierarchy his or her values first. Okay. Then with this individual, or in a team setting, you're going to elicit and hierarchy the suggested values for the team. Okay, so let's just say you're doing this team values alignment. One is the manager or the business owner, you're saying two managers, so they're coming together. So probably if they're two managers and they work with a higher person, you'd want to involve probably what's the corporate values before you do anything there as well, to make sure that the manager's values are in alignment with the corporate values. So that's important with that dynamic as well. So remember, you have to work with the seed level of the corporation, which is what's important to the company, and then work on then you have a management team, okay, in alignment with these values, what would be important for all of us here. So that's important. So you want to look at, you really want to be careful of this, because that would be a really good ecology question, right, Mihaela? It's ecology here, because again, you don't want to do any type of values alignment that would go against something that's benefiting the whole. Because everything we do in NLP creates wholeness. Okay, so if you're coaching two people to be separate from a whole organization, there's an ecology problem there. I'm sure you already thought about that, but I'm just saying that for other people who are doing this. Okay, then you're gonna meet with the team members. This is, we're on number 4 now. We're gonna meet with each team member individually, because we're gonna find out what their problems are. Why is this important? Because you want to build the motivation of the future, the values alignment, showing them that how that meeting is actually going to solve problems. Now, why is that? Well, think about it. When you have a couple in a relationship and their values aren't aligned, how many problems are created in that individually? It's like, if your number one value in relationship is quality time, and the other person's number one value in relationship is alone time reading or whatever in a dark room, then these values are having a conflict. I mean, this might not be that great of an example, but I'm just blowing it out. Like quality time, this person's always going to feel unfulfilled in their top value in relationship if the person wants to be alone in the room reading every night before bed, and vice versa. This person's going to feel smothered and unfulfilled in their number one value to have alone time reading in the room. If this person's like, come on, come with me. So it creates problems. So you're again, selling them on the idea or encouraging them or inspiring them about how their problems will be resolved when everybody comes together in an integration and an alignment in a corporate setting. Okay, because sometimes this corporate team, this corporate values alignment might not be the first choice of somebody. Like it's like, oh, here we go. We're doing these weird things with the NLP folks again. I'm always dragged in. Like all I want to do is punch in my 9 to 5. No, they're going to be part of the values team alignment if they're going to keep their job. So you might as well sell them on the benefit of it, so they are a client that's excited and works alongside the process rather than a resistant one. So again, it displaces a lot of resistance in people when you meet with them and show them, hey, X problem is going to be completely obliterated after we do this values alignment, because look at the value of this is going to be met when we all align together and work together as a team. Okay, then you're going to elicit each individual's values and hierarchy them. You're going to save that for later. Okay, it says save for later, because think about this. What do we do in a personal breakthrough session? We're going through the detailed personal history. We're getting all their values, but then we don't do anything for them for a while, because guess what? When we're doing timeline therapy, parts integration, limiting decisions, any types of techniques, we're already clearing up some of the values. Maybe some values disappear. Maybe they stay there. Maybe they change names. Maybe, the towards and away from percentage will move. So there's different things that's going to happen. So save them for later, and then you set the meeting. Okay. Then during the meeting, you're going to have each person again elicit his or her values and hierarchy them as you would in the Secret of Creating Your Future seminar. Now, I'm assuming right now, obviously, Mihaela, you are trained in group timeline therapy. So when you're ever doing corporate values alignment, you want to be trained in group timeline therapy and also coaching, okay? Because this will allow you to do this type of group work, okay? So just as an aside, since it's talking about doing it in the Secret of Creating Your Future seminar. So then you're assisting these people. You can also do the Secret of Creating Your Future if you want in this setting, because Mihaela, I know you're trained up to that level, and that way you can get rid of the negative emotions, limiting decisions, and this is going to assist the process in working and getting rid of the problems later that were caused by the unresolved issues, okay? And then have each person review his or her values that were just elicited, and then using hierarchy of ideas, have the team discuss, negotiate, and agree upon the 5 values for their team. Okay, then you're going to check congruency, because what good is fake alignment when you're getting paid the big bucks to do a corporate values alignment? These people need to see results in what you're doing. So make sure it's a congruent, unanimous decision. It feels good. Everyone feels aligned, and you check internally that this is going forward, because this is your name, your business name on this values alignment. So obviously check for congruency. Anyway, we would do that. And then it's very beautiful. Then you type them up nicely, neatly in color, and frame them and distribute to each member of the team. I have my corporate values alignment of the Tad James Company outside the store here. It's on the hallway. So actually me and a couple of the assistants, office assistants that work here and coaches can actually see it all the time. It's in our conscious awareness all the time. If we want to check in on it for ourselves, do a daily, alignment within oneself, you can do that. So that's really, I think that's important. It looks nice, and I put it in one of the trainers training plaque frames. So it's just really beautiful. And then after the meeting, you're going to meet with each team member and change his or her values individually, so that everything aligns up and it's, even more of an aligned process, okay? And then you meet with the highest member of the team and make sure the outcome is to his or her liking. And that's how you just make sure that everybody's reassured in the process. And by everybody, it's the most important person. It's the person that's hiring you and paying you and who's expecting to see the results in his or her company. So I hope that cleared that up for you there. I want to talk about the meta programs that you were talking about. Now, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, or maybe the question was out of context in project one that Adriana gave feedback about meta programs. Let's, for the purpose of what you were talking about with the corporate values alignment, let's keep them separate, very clean and simple. Do the corporate values alignment in the meetings that you set for that, and then do something separate in a business consulting sense, because the Meta Programs Values Inventory is a good consulting tool to be used within the organization, maybe between the managers, if they're sales managers, for them to understand the meta programs of their sales team, the individuals on their sales team, and for them to better know themselves so they can communicate and motivate their sales team to be top performers. Or in the HR setting, human resource setting, teach them this program so that maybe during an interview process that they can use the Meta Programs Values Inventory to successfully choose the right person for the right job within their organization. But keep it separate, keep it really clean and simple, because when you start mixing things together, it could have a potential of confusing yourself. It could be just overwhelming to the process, and it really is a separate thing. Okay, so do it separate. Corporate values alignment, one job within the same organization. Okay, cool. Teaching meta programs and doing the Meta Programs Values Inventory with them in a separate one. Keep it clean, keep it 2 different jobs. I would do it that way. You can build it into a consulting package, but I would keep it clean and simple, because there's no relationship there. Okay, beautiful. And then your third question, it's more of a statement. A request for the webinars to start 1 or 2 hours earlier. With the current timing, it's 1 a.m. in Romania. I think 2 hours earlier will work fine for all time zones. This is a very valid point. You are not the first Romanian to ask for this webinar to be earlier. I am not the decision maker. Well, I'm not the sole decision maker in how the webinars are done. Adriana entrusts me to work with her and the team. I will bring this to the table. Again, I have to, right now we're balancing the main offices of the USA. We're on 3 to 4 different time zones, depending if you're going out to Hawaii, or if you're talking about North America in general. We have Atlanta, Canada. So there's about 5.5 hours of time zones we have to cover there, and then in Australia, and have it match, because we're doing 9 a.m. in Australia right now and 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 to 7:30 p.m. Atlanta, Canada time. So and we have Hawaii, which is I don't even know. It's certain times of year it's differently. So I will bring this request out and up to Adriana, and we'll just see. So thank you. And also now we have recordings available all the time. I would love for you to always be live. However, I'm not the decision making there, just decision maker there. Okay, beautiful. So we have Mihail's questions all. Thank you so much for contributing to this webinar with your questions. Next is Rob Marmer. Hi, Laura. Hi. I'm seeking a definitive response as to what, from a TJC perspective, is the prescribed or deemed relevant to be the steps and process for those wanting to do timeline therapy with groups, as in The Secret of Creating Your Future weekend. I've assisted at some trainings, but yet to assist at A Secret of Creating Your Future weekend. With certifications for NLP practitioner, master prac, timeline therapy prac, trainers training, etc., the path is very clear. I know that mention is made of doing a transcription of The Secret of Creating Your Future mentioned audio. Any light that you can shed on the aforementioned that provides the path, if such a path in fact exists, and any expectations would be most welcome. Okay, thank you, Rob, for your question. I've actually had several questions like this in the past, and thank you for Adriana for totally enlightening me and giving me an entire different perspective on the why to do timeline therapy coaching trainers training in order to successfully deliver a Secret of Creating Your Future event. One, ideas of which I never knew before. So again, thank you for that insight, as this will help me to enlighten everybody who's watching this now. So the best way to do timeline therapy in groups is obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I'm telling you now, obviously, to do it in the 2-day format, such as Modeling the Secret of Creating Your Future seminar weekend, because you're not teaching timeline therapy. You're utilizing this to have people have the profound experience of going through timeline therapy without teaching them, because that's meant in your practitioner training and your master practitioner training to teach. It's not the purpose of a 2-day Secret of Creating a Future to teach anything. So this is why becoming a trainer of timeline therapy and a trainer of coaches, more specifically, because in the Coaching Trainers Training DVD, you learn all about values and values levels. So as a trainer, for you to know the ins and outs, not only of timeline therapy, but the ins and outs of values and values levels, is what will successfully allow you to move the group forward in a 2-day seminar format of doing timeline therapy without teaching it. Okay, so this becomes a very dynamic process here. You as the trainer have all this knowledge, and you know it so inside and out that you will be able to have people get results in your class without teaching step by step the what, all of that stuff, because that needs to be removed. You need to do just enough teaching to have the client understand what a timeline is, how to understand how to access it, to utilize it, to get learnings in whatever way he or she gets learnings, to let go of the emotion easily and effortlessly, and to also get a rudimentary form of a values elicitation that will work in this context, not in the full master practitioner context. And what will get them here enough for them to get the results and get the benefit of the Secret of Creating Your Future type seminar. And again, I have to say this, it's always in the paperwork, but you're not to use the Secret of Creating Your Future trademark name for anything. You can model the content and the process, but do not use that. You use your own name. The key is to accessing your future success. Whatever it is, that's your name, not the Secret of Creating Your Future. Please know that, because I know everybody does, but I have to say it here, or someone's going to say they went on my webinar and Laura said I can use the Secret of Creating Your Future. I don't want that on me. Okay. So when you know the stuff inside and out, then you can move forward. So here's the clear path. Step 1, enroll in and complete your timeline therapy trainers training. Also in step 1 is enroll in and complete your coaching trainers training. Okay. Pass the test successfully. Sign up with the boards, get your materials, do all of that, know everything in there, because this is so important. This is what Adriana stressed to me, is that the knowledge of the trainer, and to the extent that the trainer is like knowledgeable inside and out, the knowledge of the trainer is what will make the Secret of Creating Your Future type weekend work or not. Yes. Mind blowing. That's what I said too. Okay, so I'll say it again. I'm going to read her words. The knowledge of the trainer actually makes the weekend work or not. So we're going to get into the details of that in a little bit, but that is so important. So again, that's part of the step 1 process. Get those trainings, know them inside and out, and then step forward into delivering it. 2, before you can deliver it, transcribe the audio. Absolutely transcribe that audio. Know it. I mean, this is important for not only sequencing, timing. Remember, we fit it in a 2-day format. I believe back a while ago, Tad did it on a Friday evening and a full Saturday, full Sunday. The format now is we do it, I believe 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And we have a lunch break always, and then the mini 15-minute breaks before. But when you're transcribing The Secret of Creating Your Future, it may be that old format. I don't quote me on that. But anyway, set it up exactly the way Tad did, because, and Adriana, because you're already getting the sequencing of how it goes and how it flows for you to get that result. Use the wealth of information that we've been gifted through this. We don't have to make up anything from our head. We have everything. And Tad and Adriana give this openly for you to utilize it. It's amazing. So all you really have to do is get the mindset, which the Master Trainer program teaches you, the mindset of a trainer and how to become a master trainer, and for you to know so much the ins and outs of the process of how timeline therapy and values works. And then you have the content laid out for you. It's in that, that red bag that you got when you enrolled in everything. It's in there. Pull it out. Transcribe it. It will help you. And as you're listening to and transcribing, you know how transcribing works. You have to listen to like 6 or 7 times and type that sentence enough. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a slow typer, but still, like, you have all the information there. So use it. So that's the second step in the path. The third thing is I would set yourself up for success. Okay. When you get to the training. Okay. So if you have 4 to 6 students, Rob, you can handle the training on your own very easily, because as you're guiding people through timeline therapy, releasing negative emotions, if you have 1 or 2 people that are a little bit slower or get stuck or whatever, at least you can handle them one-off, maybe talking to them from the stage or helping them there, and it won't hold the group back. But if you have a large group, make sure you set yourself up for success and get a couple of coaching assistants, because you have so much content to go through in that tight little space of the weekend that anybody that's holding the group up that drastically can hold up the whole group process and make your either trainings go late, or you're pulling things or moving around content that's not even good. But most likely you probably won't pull content, because you'll probably be so stuck on it because there's so much to go over for them to get results. You'll probably go late. And I'll tell you this, and we'll talk about in the next thing, because your question actually allowed me to do another segment to answer a lot of people's questions about what's the purpose of doing an intro seminar such as Secret of Creating Your Future. Rollovers to your next training. Okay, that's the purpose. The purpose is for you to give them such a valuable experience of timeline therapy that they have no other choice within themselves, because they got so much value and so much thirst and hunger for more that they want to learn from you and your practitioner, and then your master practitioner, and then eventually you want to become trainers. But if you are going long days and you're going heavy content, bogged down details, and people are getting overwhelmed and grumpy because you don't have coaching assistants to help you move this along in a bigger group, grumpy people don't roll over. They don't. They're darting for the doors. They're running. They're like, get me out of here. It's dinner time. Okay. So reject that as a suggestion, throw it out. But I'm just letting you know that you want to keep your content so tight, and you want to keep the processes moving so that people are having the breakthroughs, and that they leave your training getting so much value and curiosity for more. And setting yourself up for success is transcribing the audio, having it formatted and even timed, maybe even speak it out before you have people in front of you. So it's all, so you see your speaking, timing and all that, and having coaching assistants to move forward, because the quicker you end the days on the times you say, like if you're running a training from 9 to 6 and they're getting out 10 p.m. every night, they're getting grumpy. And those grumpy people can't wait to get out of there, and they'll start dropping like flies. Again, this is like what not to do. So please reject it and just know what to do instead. Just set yourself up for success, okay? That's the purpose of saying this. Because again, well, Rob, you don't know me, but other people know. I'm running the back of the room in all the trainings in the US, and I've assisted in Australia before, but mostly I'm here. And my job is to make sure that the rollovers happen for the Tad James Company. The trainers are building tremendous value and pushing it forward. Then at the end of the day, I'm responsible for closing. So when I see trainings go a little bit late, or sometimes we have a time change and it starts getting darker earlier, I see the unconscious movements. Nobody's running for the door, but I see like the purse is on the shoulder and they're getting ready to go. That probably is an unnerving thing to see from the front of the room. I only have to see it from the back of the room. So you just keep it going, and then everyone's happy. So you set yourself up for success, okay? And yeah, so knowing, okay, going back to the knowing the ins and outs, you can then design your training to do what the purpose of a Secret of Creating Your Future seminar is all about. The design is to get people in front of you to teach the longer trainings so that they learn from you. Because it's the most responsible thing to do after a 2-day weekend. You getting the people opened up to the concept of being totally empowered in their life. And although the Secret of Creating Your Future can have massive transformation for them, you're not giving them all the tools to be totally empowered in their life. And this is a matter, of, again, responsibility and ecology. So you would be doing your clients a disservice to bog them down and teach too many details. Okay, so in the design of your 2-day weekend, that's setting yourself up for success too. That's why we want you to model exactly what Tad and Adriana do. Of course, you're going to be giving credit where credit's due. Make that very clear. I mean, this is in the DISC agreement. You're modeling them to do exactly what it is because they already know how to move people forward. Okay, the teaching time is when they come to your practitioner. So the design of that to move people forward, for you to know when to pull back, to push forward, to change your talk tracks a little bit so that the people, you'll hear in the Secret of Creating Your Future audio, when they let go of a negative emotion, they put their hand down. So if they're not, what type of language are you using? Okay, just let it go. Just allow the learnings to come here, go higher and further back. Whatever it is, your belief system, obviously, and your projections going forward is going to move the class forward, of course, because Tad always says, before you become a trainer, clean up your stuff, right? So your projections are going to move it forward. Your knowledge is going to move it forward. And the fact that you're balancing out everything you've known about the values and the values levels and timeline therapy is going to allow you to give them enough information to move it forward or not, okay? Because this training is going to build so much tremendous value in timeline therapy techniques that they'd have to take your training because they're just like, oh my God, the value is there. But their curiosity is also piqued and they have a sense of incompletion because they can't do this process with other people, or they don't have it all. They don't have all the NLP techniques. They don't have the hypnosis, the coaching, and all that. So, and that's what equals rollovers. And that's the only purpose of why you would do this seminar anyway. Yeah, it's a great one to get tremendous values, but you have to think a couple steps ahead in your business. Rollovers, okay? Let's see if that answered your whole question. Yes, I think so. So that is actually a segue into what I wanted to cover, because we always have a lot of people asking about what to do, what to present in an intro. So we talked about what is the purpose of an intro, and Tad calls it, what's the name of the game in the training business. And during the live chat, I had like a little race on whoever gave me the answer first was my favorite student. Actually, Patrick Williams popped it up first. The answer is rollovers, okay? Rollovers, we had some other people, I think Amy and Annie came in a close second with, selling future trainings, but the name of the game is rollovers. This is how we become responsible business people, to allow us, why do we get in this business anyway? Because we love the idea of transformation. Just personal development, overcoming challenges, getting all of our goals and dreams. We do it because we're passionate about it, right? Like, many people are coming from other walks of life to drop a career maybe that's multi-million dollars in the pharmaceutical industry to do this. So we do it for the love and the desire to transform the planet through having people live a more positive, more beautiful, more fulfilling life. Okay, so we do it for that aspect. And at the same time, if we're not looking at our business as a business, we're not going to be here doing the work we're going to do for years and decades and centuries out into the future if we don't make business decisions at the same time. So the rollovers keeps us focused not only on being the most responsible trainer out there, because if you pump them up in a secret of creating your future weekend and they don't have the tools to keep it going, they will look for someone else. Or they may go to, sorry, the language, they might go to a whack company, like a crazy company that's giving them stuff that isn't that valuable. And they think because it has the word NLP on it, it's going to be as great as your training or as great as the Tad James Company's trainings. You know, that's not true. Not all NLP is created equally. Okay, so these intros, you want to think about, you want to inspire them to take action towards your future training where you know in your heart that you're doing a great job, you're teaching with integrity and ecology, and you're going to teach them everything they need to know to be 100% empowered. Okay, because if you follow our business model, you're not going to hold that one key piece of information that will make all their dreams come true. No, you're going to give them everything that they need to be successful at that level that they're trained at, and then the next level after that. You're not that guru mentality training company that keeps that one piece of information. In order to succeed, put another $10,000 and we'll tell you what the secret is. No. So, but the intro is to get people from where they are now to where they need to be, which is to learn everything from you. Okay, so it's like it's a middle piece right here. Okay, and this is where you get to have fun and inspire people, be lighthearted, because then the training you could be more serious. Of course, you're going to have all the fun, lighthearted moments, but these are to get people motivated, inspired to totally transform their lives and to do it in an empowered way. Okay, so that's the name of the game. And again, it's not just about business. It's a vehicle for you to keep doing what you love and do it easily and effortlessly. Because if you get in this habit over and over again, then business flows. Your pipeline is always full. Your practitioner trainings are always having bums in seats, as we call here, BOS. You have this going out into your future. You have your master practitioner full a year in advance. So it's just a good way of practicing. You got to keep your mind one to 2 to 3 to 4 steps ahead so that everything's always full. Because if we just think about, oh, this one intro, then what happens next month? Oh, we're doing another intro. Okay. Oh, now we're a practitioner. How come I don't have any people in my practitioner? Oh, because I had those 2 intros and I forgot about rollovers. So these are all things that we all figure out the hard way. We're telling you in the Master Trainer Program how to do the easy way. I get it. I've not listened to Tad and Adriana before. I did it my own way. Hey, and then I learned it's like, okay, they're right. So let's do that. Like here again, we're all in a community where we're learning together. Whether we want to do it the easy way or not, we're here to learn. So this is, if you focus on rollovers, that's how we can make our intros go somewhere. Like we're getting into everything in the forum, all the projects in the forum are going to get you the clarity and the precision and all the tools and the structure you need necessary to move forward in getting clear on who your market is, getting clear on who you are. You're developing the business relationship with yourself during the Master Trainer Program. The more you know yourself, the more you'll get what an intro is all about. But here, that's what these webinars are for. So let's look at what NLP and tunneling therapy really is and why do they work so well. Like, why would someone want to learn NLP and use NLP and tunneling therapy as a tool to overcome their emotional challenges from the past versus going to a psychologist every week for the next 12 years, right? Because NLP works so well because it's a process. It's a structure and a process versus content, right? So in the same way we look at NLP, why you wouldn't want to go into psychiatry, and this is not meant to offend any of my psychologists out there. You get the metaphor I'm making here, the connection I'm making. It's like when you go into the psychology thing, you're talking about the content of your problems. And my mom did this, and she had H2, and she didn't do this, and that's why I have all these problems now when I'm 44. No, that's getting into content, and we know timeline therapy. It's like a lifetime's worth of stuff is gone in 5 minutes or less, because we're working with a structural process here of that's eliminating things. So how do we make an intro successful? Well, let's actually do this. Let's handle content first. I love you guys so much. I have to think about this. So how do we handle the content of an intro? We have everything. We have more than enough content in all the audio collections that are given as bonuses in all the trainings you enrolled, then we know what to do with. And this is what hit me on the way to the webinar yesterday when I was driving. I was like, I get what people are really asking me, and what do I do in an intro? What do I teach? Because I kept thinking, what do you teach? What do you teach? I'm not making fun of you guys. I'm just saying, it's like, I can't even wrap my head around how much information we have. I haven't even been able to hold on to all the concepts that are in every single second and millisecond of all the content that Tad and Adrienne have created for us. I mean, did you ever see the Marketing Your NLP Business DVD set and the notebook, and then that goes with it? And then we have the Using NLP in Business with the 5-step sales process and the secret of creating your future and the timeline therapy full audio collection. Then we have the practitioner, the master practitioner collection. We have so much content that he was like, the what question answer me. But then I realized what you were really asking. It's like, how do I develop an intro? How? It's the process. So that is what Rob's question sparked in me. I think Annie had the same question. I believe maybe Jenny did. Christina Moisey had a question like that I didn't get a chance to answer yesterday, but I might be able to have a chance to answer this time based on time. So how to develop an intro successful? Okay, content. Again, guys, I know you asked me this a million times, and I'll answer you 1,000,001 times. This is not the Laura Petrie company. I don't have any different content. This is the Tad James company, Adriana James company. Everything that they ever made, I use too. I don't have anything new. The way I format it, maybe, or the way I explain it, that's my art form, right? NLP is an art and a science. The science of what I use is exactly what you have. Again, open up that red bag, dig your hand in there, because you probably haven't looked at it since you enrolled in package 3B. Pull it out. When you look in your hand, that's called content. How to utilize that content, we'll get into that in a second. But we have everything. We're so tremendously blessed in this company if we've been graduates, because we have so much. They give everything, and we're allowed to use it, again, with the proper utilization of the copyright material. And remember, it's in the agreement. This is adapted from Drs. Tad and Adriana James and the Tad James Company with NLPcoaching.com, or however it is, copyright 2018, okay? You have I made you take a picture of it when you signed the agreement. It's on there. Again, I'm not talking about no taking content from the website, none. Please don't ever do it. Don't do it. Karmically, it's not a good decision. And for us, it's not good, and just don't do it. It degrades the integrity of all the work that we've put into the company's website, and all the years of work that we built to create it to be #1 in a Google search of NLP. So model content of audio collections. I'm just talking about audio collections, okay? Please, that's so important. I just want to mention that now. And for you to mention this to your students too, okay? You take a lot of time and energy building your website. You don't want your student graduates to do a copy paste and put it on their things. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, good. I had to get serious for a second. All right, so now that you know how to handle the endless amount of resources we have, let's talk about the process, or how to think about putting on an intro, because that's why we're here in the Master Trainer program. This is teaching us all how to think. I'm learning how to think every time I coach you guys. Okay, so this is, this is not a given for me as well. Okay, so let's just say we had a question about how to do 90-minute seminars, how to do an hour, how to do 3 days, how to do 2 days. Okay, so whether you're doing a 90-minute intro or a 3-day intro seminar, like for a hypnosis weekend would be a 3-day, right? And we have a 2-day, the secret of creating a future type weekend, and maybe people are doing NLP in business or things like this, or relationship seminars. Anyway, we already talked about the number one purpose. So your number one purpose is to roll your students over into longer trainings, or it might be coaching too. Both things. You might have a corporate coaching package, or a corporate training. Whatever it is, it's a rollover. It's a business decision for the next step. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, so and that's, the rollovers a goal where you actually teach and certify and give the students everything they need. Okay, you're giving them the supplies they need to be empowered. Okay, number two. Now, my number two thing is a synesthesia, right? Like, I like to think about this, as two things existing together, one with a little bit more importance than the other. Okay, so first, you want to give the people in front of you, you want to give them value. Like, let them have a powerful takeaway. I would just focus on one point. In a 90-minute intro, you really only have one chance to get them to have one powerful, like, impactful takeaway that will give them so much value that they know that they attended that intro seminar for a purpose. Okay, so let them have a powerful takeaway. You choose one point. Like, for example, I want them to walk away knowing that they can be have choice in their life. Let's just say, because what does NLP give us anyway? It gives us choice. So I want them to leave just knowing that they have a choice, not that they have all the tools to have the choice. No, that's not the purpose of the intro, is that they know that they have a choice and that they can take action towards getting more choices in life by way of my future trainings, right? And also at the same time, this is the second one, you leave them hungry for more. So you want them to have value, because what I see is typical, and again, throw away anything. This is not a judgment. I've been a part of a multi-level marketing thing where you think you're going there for one thing and it's just a sales pitch and you got no value of anything. Like, there's nothing of value, and you feel like, oh, they're trying to leave me curious for more, and I'm not curious, and I just spent 4 hours here listening to somebody talk and I got nothing in it for me. So you never want someone to feel that way at your intro. You want them to be like, wow, I got a powerful takeaway, and at the same time, I'm curious to know more. Like, there's something here. Like, I don't have it all. I want to have it all, and I want to do it with Rob, or with, who else wrote a question about that? I think Annie. So you want to, at the same time, build so much value on that one point, just one in an intro, especially a 90-minute one, and leave them hungry for more. Have them a sense of incompletion. We talk about this in trainings, incompletion, curiosity. And then 4, develop yourself as develop yourself in flexibility and resourcefulness as a trainer. Try different things. Like, this is the part for you as a trainer to have fun. See how creative you are. Like, these are all the purposes here, like, of an intro. It's like, how do you know what your niche is until you start doing it? Like, I thought my niche was going to be one thing until I started doing work, and I was like, nah, I'm really clicking and vibing with these other concepts. So this allows you, like, intros allow you to do a lot of different things and to trial and error things. And this is the fun part about being an NLP and developing your art form. You're never going to write a perfect thing. Like, this is my second time delivering the same webinar. It has the same principles, but it already is completely different, right? This is the fun part of the business. Like, you're never going to know exactly what to say. We're not scripted. We're not reading word for word off a manual unless you're doing a script, right? Or there's an important part for, programming the unconscious mind and, like, installing certain concepts, but everything else, it gets to be your art form. It's your style gets to come out. So that's another purpose of doing an intro. Let's see how good are your sales presentations. Every time you do it, you're going to fine tune it. How good is it? How well are you going to explain cause and effect this time? Maybe it's going to be different. Maybe it's going to be the same. But anyway, this is where you get to develop your creativity and flexibility. Okay. And then, part of this flexibility, and I'm looking at my notes because I'm glad I wrote this, you're going to be balancing always kind of what we talked about, the secret of creating your future question before, balancing how to move the group forward by teaching them and motivating them and like instilling curiosity and building value. And you're pretty much running like through the 5-step sales process during this process, right? You're getting a rapport, like there's maybe you have a rapport building like portion where you get into immediate rapport. I mean, we have everything we've learned in trainers training that's been installed in us, but maybe you have one of those things like to get the audience that feels cold, warm. Okay, then you're building value. You're seeing, what's important to them when they light up, when you talk about a certain thing. So you're actually moving them through a 5-step sales process, maybe even, and you're going to hear in a second, when you've built in your sales process, maybe you're handling objections before they can even come up in some of your talk tracks. I mean, this is where you get to play around with a whole lot of things, right? Because you're not in the certification portion of your training yet. No, you're just in an intro. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And that, with that in mind now, let's talk about how to think about developing your intro, okay? So me personally, and there might be other schools of thoughts, with Tad and Adriana or Steph and Shay or Brad or, whoever else, or Callum, who are developing trainings. But this is how I like to think about it. So I always start with the end goal and the end result in mind, and then work backwards from there. Because, and then I have an internal checklist that goes, what's my end result, right? Like, what is it that I want to see accomplished here? Like by, maybe the intro is going to be, feeding a practitioner training, or maybe a coaching package I have, or maybe just I want an X result at the end. So work backwards from what you want to achieve from this. It may be maybe the end result of this intro is 5 months out in the future, whatever the end is for you. Okay. So let's just say that you work with the end results in mind first and then work backwards. So my internal checklist runs like this, but let me note here that this is where, when I start mentioning these things, this is where you deciding, not from a place of need, or not because I said should, or because Adriana said you have to, or I said you must, because you want to know yourself so well in your business relationship with yourself, for you to move forward and have fulfillment out of your career, it's highly suggested that you do the projects in the forum. Because what I'm going to tell you in a second is going to be, the foundation is based on what you already know about who your niche market is. Who's your ideal client? What's your elevator pitch? Who do you stand for in business? What's your passion and purpose? And what's your purpose in doing what you do every single day? That's in the forum. Now, again, there's no woulda, shoulda, coulda, and musta. You need this, this, and this. You want to have a good relationship with yourself? Do the projects. Believe me, you'll see it. And nothing is ever perfect before you take action. You can't have everything scripted in your life before you do it. The script happens as you're going. This is an improv studio session, okay? Like, the script happens in the setup, in the knowledge, in the experience, in how well you prepared. There's no, as we learned in trainers training, is there any replacement for good preparation before you go into eval? No. You can't fly by the seat of your pants and expect to pass eval at 100%, or a high pass, or even a medium pass. No, you have to be prepared. So the preparation happens in the forum here, because without that, then you're flying by the seat of the pants, and you may get hit or miss results, but you will be a professional, and that's what people are paying to see. They're paying you a lot of money. So Be responsible to your clients, be responsible to yourself. Do the projects for no one else other than you. You've invested this much money. You deserve to have a really good relationship with yourself in business. Okay, I did my sales pitch on that, on you. I did my sales pitch on you. Okay, good. So my internal checklist works like this. Again, like I have a lot of synesthesias and values, okay? Because I want to always make sure that I'm taking care of myself and taking care of my students at the same time. Because I used to work another way around. So the first internal checklist is 1A and 1B, okay? They're my number one value. Okay, what do I want as a result in my business, okay, as a whole? So this is, remember, the end result in mind before we go anywhere with the content. What do I want? Okay, and then 1B is, what do I want? Again, 1 point. What do I want my students to walk away with, so much so that their life is changed forever in a positive direction? What's that one thing that would make that intro that they took today with me so important that it was the most valuable intro seminar they've ever been to in their entire life? And if you want the languaging on that, like, I believe this to be true, and I believe that Tad set up the frame for me on this belief, is I read his Presenting Magically book before I even started studying NLP. And he wrote in there, what's one goal that if you got it, made this the best book you've ever read in your entire life, or this, made this book the most valuable book or the most important book you've ever read in your life. Like, and it just totally transformed my experience of reading a book. It's like, well, what's one goal? Well, hey, like that same thing. It's in the beginning of your practitioner slides anyway. So have that in mind. What's one key takeaway that if they never took anything from me ever again, that the experience would be so valuable to them that my name would be attached to that experience forever, knowing that I served them in such a good way, whether they want to take my trainings or not, but they will have had that experience through me that they would have never gotten anywhere else. And if you focus on that, you're going to be able to serve yourself and serve your clients equally and impactfully and powerfully forever. Because the other way to do it is like, what can I give my students? What can I teach them? And this and this. And I hear this a lot in the calls. And guess what? You guys are my projections. I used to do the same thing. And guess what happened? At the end of the day, I gave everything, and I had nothing for myself. Okay, and I'm blowing that out. I had a lot of things for myself, but if I wasn't focused first on my business went second. And I didn't have the energy financially or energy in my life force energy in my body to continue what I was doing very much longer. And I love what I do, and I don't deserve to be burnt out on it. So what I do deserve to do is put myself just a millisecond higher or a hair higher in my values than the value I'm going to give my clients. Like this. If this is the number one value of my internal checklist, it's me and then my student right there. Okay. So that's a good way to think about it, because then you serve both. Okay. Because those students are going to get your valuable information if you're not around on this planet much longer in a business. Okay. And this thinking will help you build your business way out into the future. Okay, guys. So, then whatever concept you choose, let's just say you're doing a relationship seminar. Like, what's one thing you want them to walk away with? 1 point, not meaning that they can do a technique on their own. No, 1 point that when they go home, they're like, wow, I have X fulfillment in my life about relationships now. It might be one line out of a whole practitioner manual. I don't know, but it's just simple. Or in a business setting, what's one takeaway that they know, wow, rapport is the most important step of the 5-step sales process. Like, if they walked away with that one concept, then they'll be like, well, if rapport is that, I know a little bit, but I want to know everything about rapport. I want to go to that practitioner training she was talking about. What's one thing that they can go home with that's still valuable that they can do it if they've never taken a training with you, if they'll never take a training with you ever again, but you give them the choice, because you build that curiosity in them. Okay, so the second thing to my internal checklist is, how much time do I have? Now, this might be, you're developing it just like, oh, I just have a feeling I want to do lunchtime seminars. Okay, what's a typical lunchtime? 60 minutes. Okay, that might be it. Or what is somebody hiring you for? How much time do I have? Because depending on how much time you have, then you can make appropriate choices of how much time to spend in which segment and what to put where, so that you can successfully get your point across and successfully build in time to move your business forward to whatever your result was that you focus on. Okay, and I'll go into the importance of part of that time slot. There's going to be a significant portion for you to sell your future services. We'll go into that in a second, but that's why you need to know. If you have 90 minutes, it's like, okay, maybe the first 5 minutes is a metaphor, to get people into my metaphor trance. Then we'll talk about unpacking, how rapport, what rapport is, or, like obviously building the why on rapport. Why is that the most important step in the 5-step sales process? What happens when you don't have rapport? What happens when you do? Maybe go through a little exercise and all that. So it will help you think about that. Okay, so that's an aside. Okay, then based on your niche, again, why is the form appropriate? Your niche market is who you're going to be giving your presentation to, or the context of which you're delivering it. Maybe it's not your niche. Maybe somebody is hiring you for a job and you've accepted it to do an intro or a 2-day seminar. Say, hey, we want you to do X thing. Then you need to, depending on that niche, get inside their mind. You need to get inside their mindset. Think about this. What's important to them? What's the most important things? What are the values of this type of person that I'm presenting to? So you have to get into perceptual position number 2. Get inside their mind. Okay, what's important to me? I'm X type of person. I know Annie has a question coming up about rural women, age 40 in transitions. Okay, so what do I want as a rural woman who is going through a transition? Okay, what's important to me? So I'm not going to do that one because I'm not a rural woman and I don't even want to contemplate it. No offense. But what does a city woman who, single in the middle of Las Vegas, what's important to her? Like I could do that one. Okay, I hallucinate what these people want so I know what's important to them. Hallucinate their values levels. You don't have to hallucinate it, but just know, you have to know it in order to give them content that lights up their neurology and makes them want more. Okay, and sometimes it's not always known. I know Tad and Adriana tell a story about they go to make a presentation in Egypt about business, and then halfway through it, they're seeing blank faces, looking like something happened wrong in the audience. They weren't getting through. Then on the fly, they start presenting about relationship with their children. And all of a sudden the audience lights up. So sometimes you go in and you think you know an audience because maybe someone else booked you for the occasion, but then you have to trust your unconscious mind. And we're trained to do that because that's installed at the deep unconscious level after trainer's training. You got to go roll with it. Doesn't mean your structure is going to change. Okay, cool. I know I have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here. How do I fit that in? So prepare yourself ahead of time. Know the context in which you're presenting so that based on your niche, you can do a free-flowing thing. Okay, so this is important to them. Single women, what's important to them? Okay, blah, 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 blah. Good. So what concepts in NLP or timeline therapy or hypnosis, what concepts are most important to teach in order to get them that value? What's important to them? And just write an exhaustive list, everything you can think of, cause and effect, focus, reasons versus results, blame of others, victimhood versus self-blame, self-punishment, internal representations, presuppositions in language, presuppositions in NLP, deletions, distortions, generalizations, language, negative emotions, limiting decisions, parts, all these things. And you might have a list this long because think about it. How many different things can be applied to what's important? So we have that exhaustive list. Now, the next step is, and this is where we go to number 4, narrow it down. Narrow down, maybe circle one concept, because think about it. One concept has so much to teach. And you're not teaching to certify, you're teaching enough to get the point across so they can get that one value and you can get the value for you. So narrow down to what your client who has hired you would get in general the most value of. Okay, so, and this again requires you to go inside their mind and say, okay, no, if I taught them basic concepts of rapport, matching and mirroring, blah, 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 they will get value out of this, and their curiosity will still be built because they didn't learn everything. Okay, so then once you have that narrowed down and written down, like, okay, cool, now this is the signal for open up that red bag that has everything in there that you've earned when you enrolled in package 3B, and you take out the content from there, whatever source it is, and you have remember your master trainer support disc that came with this program, that when you pay in full, you get all the slides and the manuals, then piece it together. Okay, here's this. Oh, this is great content. There's great content. There's great content. And you fill up your sections of how you're going to present this, and then pepper in all your beautiful metaphors, because yes, we have the science, which is the content that Tad and Adriana have put together for us and made our life so easy. And then you pepper in your art form. You pepper it in there. And make metaphors that are specific to the context that will light up the neurology again of your client sitting in front of you. Pepper in those beautiful metaphors, squeeze it together in a nice sandwich. It's a pepper sandwich, apparently, the way I'm making it sound. Put it all together and put it into format. Guys, we know this. If you have each little mini section, maybe you want to do a mini why, mini what, mini how, okay? Save the what if, because we'll talk about that later. Like maybe just do, okay, any questions? Don't do a full what if section, because because you're not teaching for certification. I'm going to tell you how to use the what if section in a little bit, but use the format. We know these things. Don't be going in guns a-blazing, all hot, like just spewing content and exercises and bam, this. Format it, because remember, this is how people learn best. Keeps you on track too. Then, please, if I could get on my knees right now and beg this to you, look me in my eyes right now. Okay? Please, please build in your sales presentation in the format of the block of time. Build it in there. Don't expect that you're going to just do it on the fly. You're just going to come up with something magical. Your pricings are going to come out of your mouth. The dates in which your practitioner training, it's all going to fly out magically because you were just so on the spot. It's not going to happen. I'm probably one of the best salespeople I've ever met in my life, and this is not cocky. This is just real. Even I have forgotten to deliver a portion of my sales training. I've forgotten to do a sales pitch within an intro training before. Even I have. And I've even tried to do it on the fly. I do sales all day long. You see that phone there? I'm on that all day long doing sales. Even I forgot. I lost my words. I had nothing. I was like, blah, 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 the pricing. I even misquoted my price. I undersold myself for $1,000 one time. Don't think you're going to be more clever than me, who all day long I do sales. Okay? This is something you have to build into the format of your training. Okay? Give yourself, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes. Even if it's a 90-minute seminar, do 15 minutes. Because you can always do, depending on where you're at. So this was a discussion that popped up in the live chat yesterday. Depending on where you are in the world is how you're going to make the sales presentation flow into the training, okay? So that's why you have to develop it in there. So it's not just like, hey, now that you've been in my intro, here's what I'm selling you. No, you want it to look like it's part of your intro, because it is. Your intro is meant as a sales tool. So make it look artful. Maybe you have metaphors in there, especially if you're from the UK. I believe Canada popped up and said Canada is the same way, and Australia. These are places where around the bend, metaphorical, non-direct sales pitches work the best. So you think you're going to develop a clever metaphor about selling your next practitioner training and how to take action, how it's so important to take action now? You think you're going to be able to develop that on the fly if you don't do it every day for a living? You probably won't. I'm not trying to limit you, but if it's unconscious to me, and I literally do sales all day long in this field, then you might want to take this suggestion and just build it in as part of your content and make it look clever. Have it be seamless in between. And you're going to pepper in, we just learned today rapport. When you come to my practitioner training, I'm going to be able to teach you every minute detail about rapport, but now's not the time for it because we only got 90 minutes, but I'm going to give you an amazing concept that will change your life and how you look at how to do rapport with individuals in the context of business, right? That's a what attached to a why they need to take your practitioner. That's a mini little sales pitch, a little seed inside your presentation anyway. Then you're going to streamline into a formal pitch, because if you don't build that there, know what else you might forget to do? Put practitioner dates in your future timeline on a piece of paper. There you can be like, people will be like, oh, I love this stuff. When's your practitioner? You're going to be like, May 3rd through the 20th. I don't know yet. No, that's not a cute way to show up at a business meeting. You want to look prepared. Yeah, it's December 3rd through the 9th. It costs $39.55. I have a multi-training discount. If everyone here at this table enrolls right now, actually, you're going to get 25% off. That looks professional, right? And that looks like you know what you're going after, instead of like, well, haven't thought about it yet, but I'm so glad you made it to this intro to show up and give me your time when I'm not prepared. Even though you feel prepared, you're not. So plan it out. So you have a piece of paper, maybe with the dates of your next couple practitioner training. Maybe you have a master prac. Why not? Because if not, then they'll call us and we'll enroll them in our master prac. That's a real good motivation for you there. And we'll be happy to do that. Maybe do your next couple of intro seminars that have a different theme. It'll push you to be creative and create more. Okay, so that's a good way to think about it. So you build in your sales pitch, all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, when's my next practitioner training? What city is it in? What are the dates? What are my price points? So it will just trigger all these things. So that is a good idea. Okay, so, and in the US, it's really okay to just do a direct sales pitch and be like, hey, guys, you looked interested. Did everybody get value out of this training today? Yes. Okay, cool. This is how you get more. Some of you have already asked me questions before I got here. Even if that's not true, it displaces, again, resistance and allows people to be like, oh, it wasn't me who asked these questions, but my colleague next to me had been asking questions about the next step. That's amazing. I want to hear this. If they're interested, I'm interested. Let's go together. A lot of people before I came here asked me about what are the next steps. If this is a life decision for me, or if it's just a momentary business decision, here's the next steps of what you can do so you get everything. So I can teach you the full 5-step sales process and all the intricacies of rapport. And then blah, 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 blah. Here's how you do it. You come to this training that's on December 3rd through the 9th. And if you can't make it to that one, which if you make it to that one, there's actually an end of a year special. My prices go up in 2019, but I do have one in March 8th through the 14th. So if you start talking like that, that's a good direct sales pitch. So everybody who has lived in another country who are better at indirect sales, develop all your clever metaphors and then let them know, if they choose or don't choose to do it here or not here, this is what's out in the future for you if you so choose, and then give them an incentive to roll there. Okay. And then you close it out, and then you always build in, okay, so maybe that's 15 minutes at the end. Then you do the what if section. Now, this is what I like to do. Again, I don't know, how other people teach it. Make your what if section, the questions are the answers. And the answer always is, that's a great question, Nancy. Actually, we reviewed that point about rapport in the beginning. However, and this is the answer, when you come to my practitioner training, you'll get everything you need to know. That question not only will be answered in full and completion, that you'll almost be able to teach it when you're done with it to your, your colleague in business. Not teach it to certify, but teach it to your other colleagues so that you can have, so everybody on your sales team can do rapport just as well as you do after my training. You know, like, or blah, blah, blah. Oh, I have a question about this. Oh, wow, Susie, that is a high level question. You know, not many people think the way you do. You're actually a couple steps ahead of this intro. We don't actually teach that concept into my master practitioner. I love where your thinking's at. Probably the first step for you is to take the practitioner level. It may seem, you know, like something you already know, you've heard before, but when you get to my master's, we'll be able to really expand upon that, because what you're asking, that's a quantum linguistics question. So right there, you're utilizing the questions or the answers, which we learned in trainers training, and you're using it to build value in your future trainings and also answer the question satisfactory, because you're always going to ask, did that answer your question? And they're gonna be like, yeah, that did. Great, cool. Then you close it up, okay? So I hope that helps you develop how to create an intro seminar that works, okay? And then there's gonna be other questions about that. I'm just gonna keep referencing to this. Rob, thank you for the segue, and thank you everyone else who's all week. I mean, this is the running theme of the week for me when I was doing coaching, which is one of the reasons, the last 2 weeks actually, one of the reasons why I was inspired to put this on at this specific time. I know a lot of you are in trainers training assisting, but everybody's been asking me about this, and it's been two months since graduation of the trainers training here. So I wanted, these intros are just such a great, you know, launch pad for the success of your training business. So I want to make sure everyone's clear on that. So I'm going to move on in keeping with the time here. Okay. This is Chris, Chris Lianos. Hey, Laura, awesome, and thanks for the opportunity to ask some questions. I have two that are client related I'd like to get an opinion on. One, at an event I was assisting, we had a client who released anger at position 3 on the negative emotion. On the negative emotions #1 script, but the anger showed up again in position 4. This repeated itself 3 or 4 times, even though we got new learnings. Eventually, the client claimed that the emotion was gone in position 4, but I was not convinced. Have you encountered this before, and what would you recommend? Okay. Yes and no. Have I encountered this before? Yes. Have I encountered that somebody negative emotion didn't release right away? Of course. I think anybody has. It's, you know, sometimes the way it goes, sometimes, most of the time, eliminates, because I've, again, like we covered in the beginning, I've pre-framed it enough for them to know how to do it, and how to get the learnings, and to, you know, go high enough and far enough back and go to the very first event, the, you know, the one which, when disconnected, would cause all the anger to disappear, including that event. However, let's talk about some things that could happen. Okay, standard reframes, obviously. If this was a demo subject, read the standard reframes one after the other, after the other. After, of course, all the normal things. Are you making sure that they're before the first event? Yes? Okay, if that checked off, let's assume. Are they getting high enough and far enough back? They're saying yes. Okay, so this is where I stop sometimes, because I've had this happen before, where the person is high enough and far enough back, but they're popping in and out of the event at the same time. At the same time that they have a concept they're above, they're going in and out through their eyes, and so they're checking on it and staying above at the same time. So they're like they're teleporting themselves into the event at the same time. So of course they're still feeling the emotion. So I would check on that. Hey, I know you're high enough and far enough back, but are you sometimes popping in and out, looking through your own eyes? And they'll be like, yeah, I am. I'm like, okay, cool. So go so high up, high enough that you're like by the moon, and that event's down there like a little ant, and you're all the way up there, and there's no way you can get in there because it's so tiny. Do the emotions disappear now? Yes. Okay, cool. Go check down the emotions. Is it gone? Yes. Did it stay gone? Did they disappear now? Yes. Okay, perfect. So check that too. Are they, blow out how high and far enough back they're going, and make sure they're not popping in and out simultaneously. Until you ask that question, you don't know. They might be like, yeah, I'm high enough, and they're getting like annoyed at you. No, just check with that. Okay. So let's make believe we all those things check off. Okay. So, and you read the reframes in order, you know, check by check. Okay, so let's say all of that. Okay, now I'm unclear if you're talking about a demo subject that you witnessed. So let's just say they're a demo subject or not, but let's just say it's in front of a teaching situation. If the client want to let it go, you have to kind of call them out on that bullshit up there, because you have a bunch of people learning how to do timeline therapy for the first time, maybe you have a demo subject that's not playing along. So you need to do whatever it takes as a trainer up there. You need to maybe do a linguistic parts integration, do a little bit a parts reframe, a negotiation to get them 100% congruent to let it go. This is not for you to teach. Don't teach your students this. This is for you to do as a trainer, to linguistically get them ready to be congruent to let it go. Okay? And then maybe call them out. So how you held on this anger for 34 years? How's it working for you? How's your relationships looking? Cool. So are you ready to let it go? Because before you want to let it go, and then you didn't allow the process to happen successfully. And I'm very clear as a trainer that this always works. So wanting to let it go is not wanting to let it go. So let's not bullshit anyone here, because you just said it worked and I'm not convinced it is. So are you ready to let it go now? What would your relationships look like if anger was completely gone? What if you protected yourself in a different way by using anger and using your logical mind and make smart business decisions instead of anger? Would that be beneficial for you? Cool. Great. Did you know NLP and timeline therapy help you to be a better critical, logical thinker when the negative emotions are totally gone? Because you're accessing life with blinders on, and those blinders are called anger. So you're ready to let that go now, so you can really protect yourself in business. Okay, good. And then right in that state, maybe do the process again. So call them out on it. What hasn't happened before, when you said, have you encountered this before? I have never allowed my client to move past anything if I'm not convinced. At this stage in my career, I charge $1,000 an hour, and I'm very clear on my value, and I'm very clear that that is a big amount of money to charge my clients. So if they're not, if they're trying to convince me and they're bullshitting me and I'm not convinced, I'm irresponsible with my clients' money and with my name on my practice to let them go until I'm convinced, because I'm thorough and I'm good and I always get 100% results. This is why I get referrals and referrals and referrals and referrals and referrals from anyone who works with me, because my clients are going to sell me, if I'm even a little bit not convinced, on how well timeline therapy worked for them, so that not only are they convinced at a whole new level, but I'm totally convinced so I can move on. Otherwise, I won't move on. And I'm stubborn as beep about that. Because in the rapport process, you can tell if somebody's let something go and if they're convinced about it or not. If not, something feels off. So that's probably why you're saying, I wasn't convinced. Now, again, I don't know if you saw a demo subject and you were saying, well, I wasn't convinced, and that person walked away, or if you worked with them one-on-one and you weren't convinced. Either way, I need to say this. If you let them walk away and they weren't convinced, and there was an incongruency there because they weren't convinced, I'm going to have to call you, and other people who've gone through the similar thing. You're not alone with this, Chris. I have to call you out on your projections. Okay. Where are you incongruent? Or, and it's again, perception is projection, is not like for like. Where are you incongruent about timeline therapy? No. Where incongruencies are in your life, like where you say that you let something go, but you really didn't, or whatever it is, just check it out. It's not for you to share on the forum or anything like that, unless you want to, unless it helps you externally process an experience and have other people learn. But this is for you to check within yourself, because incongruency will do that. And what if even you seeing it on stage was part of your projection too? So I can't let you off the hook on that. Like, oh no, that was so-and-so releasing it on stage and I saw it. It's part of your projections, and it bothered you enough to write about it, which means it's actually part of your projection. So check that. Check the perceptions projection, check the incongruencies, or, and it's not about blaming yourself and not saying, oh, I have incongruencies. No, this is feedback. That's what we're getting. So you got feedback on yourself. And now, remember, as a trainer, the more you clean up your stuff, the easier your trainings go. So you won't have to recreate that in your trainings when you do it. Okay, so I hope that was okay to say. I mean, it's real. I call myself on my projections all the time. It's fun. Okay, number 2, I'm considering taking on a client, 17 years old, exhibiting symptoms of what might be labeled as schizophrenia. It's a delicate situation as I have never worked with someone in this way. Is there any advice on working with or not working with someone who has this potential challenge? My concern is that he believes that the world is not real, and therefore, by extension, the work we do is not real. Would this impact his ability to get the benefits? Tough situation. Thanks very much. Okay, so first of all, of course, I had to go to my go-to gal, Adriana, to get her insight on this because obviously I want valuable insight, so I did that. But first, let's talk about would you, okay, I want to see the language that he wrote. Would this impact his ability to get the benefits? Okay, so first of all, we have to talk about, do you want to take on this client? Because we know that your desire to take on this client, and if this client is someone you believe 100% with 100% certainty, with all the tools and capabilities you have that you can help them, then to that degree of certainty, you'll be able to impact him and have everything become beneficial for you at the end of that coaching situation. Okay, so if you're 100% sure that you want to take on this client, you're motivated, you feel a desire to, and you know you have everything between your practitioner and your master prac manual to help them out, then 100% you'll get results, okay? If you have a seed of doubt, even this tiny, check inside. Can I do a limiting decision? Can I do parts integration? Can I get congruent about taking on this client? Do the technique. If you're at 100%, take him on again. Like, not take him on again, take him on again. That is 100% congruency. Take them on. You'll get benefits. Remember, a client in hypnosis will not actualize what the hypnotherapist doesn't believe to be true. So, answer's right there. If you have a doubt or you don't have a desire to work with this type of person, it's not your job. You don't have to save his life. There may be somebody out there that would be excited to take on this client. Maybe you don't know that person, but guess what? You have the form. Type in, hey, I have an amazing 17-year-old guy who wants transformation. He's been labeled as schizophrenic. Anybody have a desire to work with this person, or anybody knows somebody who does, or experience, or whatever? Put it out there. Someone by at least 2 degrees of separation will find somebody to work with your client. If not, you can always call one of the Tad James Company offices and we'll find a working practitioner in that area, a master practitioner in that area that's certified with the boards who can take on this client. Okay, so that's your option. So, okay, so let's decide you do decide to move forward with working with him. Now this is where Adriana gave some helpful tips. So, because you put my concern that he believes the world is not real, and therefore by extension the work we do is not real. So Adriana says, with this concept, now you have to work inside the client's metaphor and then out metaphor him. So brilliant. It's like you have to accept and acknowledge the person's model of the world and work inside the client's metaphor and then out metaphor him. This is great. So she gave some examples like, okay, so what if right now, like I think she said this, and I've heard Tad say this before, like, what if you guys played a little game called pretend that he's normal, and that everything that a normal person would pretend to be real, or pretend he's being normal, like, shh, let's not tell anyone. You get that person to buy into the fact that he's normal. First of all, will already dispel all of the labeling of the schizophrenia if he pretends to be normal, because then once he pretends to be normal, then the schizophrenic things don't apply. But what if you get him to buy into a reality, whatever metaphor you have, where in that reality, everything that you do between the two of you in that reality is actually real. Therefore, all the results that they get within that reality will be real to him, and he'll have a real breakthrough within that reality. And what if that reality just became real for him every single day? Or however you would make that metaphor, so that within the context of what you make real for him will be real when he does work with you. So however that works for you. Adrienne had a great one, and it was along the lines of that. But I remember that Tad had someone in I think it was in his practitioner training, and I think Tad's called him out. He's like, you know, like, you're not normal, are you? Or the guy said, oh, I'm not normal. And Tad's like, yeah, you're not, but why don't we pretend you are? Shh, I won't tell anyone. He's like, yeah, shh. It's so funny. And she said, like, paradoxically, if this guy pretends to be normal, medically he'll be a sound person, and then whatever he pretends is real, and then the symptomology, I remember the problem is just disappearing. I actually worked with somebody who was labeled as schizophrenic, and really the only difference between this man's thinking of a schizophrenic and a normal person is the amount of attention he put towards certain thoughts. So I gave this example yesterday, and it happened a lot when I lived in New Jersey. I mean, if you think LA traffic is bad, if you've ever driven in LA, live outside New York City and then complain about traffic in LA. I mean, it's like you can literally put your car in park for 2 hours and move a quarter of an inch every like 5 minutes going towards the Lincoln Tunnel. So I would have these thoughts of just like turning my car into a monster truck and just running over every single car and just like smashing it down so I could just get through to my destination. I was only traveling 8 miles. It would take me 2 hours to go 8 miles. I had a lot of crazy thoughts, and that was one of the most innocent ones of the many violent thoughts that crossed my head back in those days, pre-timeline therapy, obviously. So this gentleman would have thoughts like that all the time, but he put so much mass in them and thought, oh my God, only a sick person would have these thoughts. And he paid so much attention to those thoughts that are just passing in my head that I'm like, okay, I'm not that crazy. I'm just crazy for the second. And now I let it go and I'm a normal person again sitting in traffic. No, he put so much energy towards those thoughts, it actually created a psychosis. Like he only thought, he kept on judging himself, and then he became hyper religious, and then those religious thoughts took over his head, the ones that were trying to subdue those other ones about running over people, or what if I accidentally, harmed somebody. All those thoughts, he put so much attention to it that at the end of the processes, he realized it's like, oh, he just saw that I think we did a parts integration, we did a couple limiting decision. He just saw then, oh, I have just as much balance of normal everyday thoughts that everybody else has and crazy thoughts, and these ones could just pass in the wind, and then I'll give substance to those things that give me fulfillment. It was a huge breakthrough. I mean, really didn't have to do anything. Again, another factor in me choosing to work with schizophrenia, because you asked me if, what would I do about it? I actually, in this stage in my career, I would only take somebody who is totally empowered, willing to do whatever it takes to get results, and isn't currently under medical treatment. I just wouldn't, at this point, I don't want to put my energy there unless a medical doctor is literally saying, Laura, I have nothing left to do with this. He's in your hands. He's, getting weaned off X, Y, and Z processes. You're the one to help him. And I've had acupuncturists in the past who are medical doctors do that. Like, I will stick needles in this lady for X problem in her body every single day of the week for the next 10 years. If she doesn't fix something emotional, I'm just going to be wasting this client's money. So here, take this client, and then she can come back for checkups with, whatever herbal medications and treatments she was getting. So I've had this happen in the past. So just for you to know, that's my take on that. And that comes from Adriana as well. So, and Adriana, sorry if I misquoted you, please correct me on the forum, but I think I got the general gist on how to out metaphor somebody within their own metaphor. Okay, beautiful. Moving on. I know when I said that yesterday, I think Chris was on. Okay, perfect. Fourth question comes from Annie Kesterton, and I believe I pronounced it correctly yesterday, so. She had a question about, okay, that's her second question. She had 2 questions actually. Excuse me for that. Well, I know what it had to do with. It had to do with an intro seminar. Okay, she asked a question about a 90-minute intro seminar to do with women who are, nope, I don't have it here. Okay. A 90-minute intro, at least she was on live, so she heard it. A 90-minute intro seminar to do with women over 40 in rural areas who are going through transitions. Now, I just referred her back to the segment I did about how to develop an intro seminar. She said that they thought, you know, they were very VL4, and that she would develop her content like that. That would be things that would be important to a very VL4 group of women, and then you know, move them forward towards her coaching programs. And I think that's what she was trying to do, get them into her coaching, her longer coaching programs, and then just giving them different options there. So thank you. And it's good because I think I'm running short on time anyway. Thank you for being on yesterday, and it's pretty much, I'm recapping everything we said yesterday anyway. Okay, and then her second question was on lead management. What is the best way to manage leads? Now, she was talking about how she has a whole database of leads, or not database, sorry. She had a whole list of leads that she's gotten, maybe emails, phone numbers, things like this. Best way to manage leads. Now, if you know, and I've been working in sales pretty much since I was 16 years old, whether it's retail, telemarketing, trainings, you know, research and pharmaceuticals, things like this, you know, working with humans. Every single one of those companies have databases where they have them, each lead categorized with a name, phone number, email address, blah, 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 blah. But at this stage in the game, you might not need to purchase one of those. Maybe you have a couple hundred leads. Work with an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to work with what most people have, and then you can get something bigger later, and you know, hire somebody to enter them all in, you know, when you get that big. So an Excel spreadsheet, have a column name, phone number, email. I like to always get the person's date of birth. Somehow, yes, it's because I've been studying astrology since I was probably 10 years old, like 5th grade. So it's just interesting for me to astrologically profile people. So it's a high value of mine anyway to understand people. So I just want to understand them. And the quickest way to profile for me is to know their astrological sign. So I'll be like, oh, what's your birthday? Oh, April 16th. Oh, you're an Aries. Okay, cool. You know, and I log that in my head. Then I would punch in my phone. I usually memorize people's birthdays anyway, but if you don't have that skill set, type it in. And I keep birthday. Now, this is an old trick from my retail days in jewelry and clothing sales, because what do? You get the person's birthday. Okay, so, hey, so it's your birthday. Why don't you buy yourself a gift? Or you get their husband's birthday. Hey, it's your husband's birthday. We have sales on watches right now. Or, you know, you got Valentine's Day special, or anniversary. So I would get something of value like that, so that if they don't close on the spot, you have a reason to contact them in the future, right? Oh, someone's birthday's coming up. That's a perfect way to call them again. So any personal information, and I would have a column for birthdays. Just me personally, you can reject that, but I've literally made so many sales and enrollments into my coaching services by just having a column for birthdays. Because I'd be like, it is the new year of your soul. Why don't you just come in and do a coaching session, and we can do a whole personal breakthrough. So this year is the most amazing year in the context of X, Y, or Z. And then they choose, oh, you want to meet your soulmate this year? Good. Happy anniversary to you. Let's go get you your soulmate this year. Okay, whatever. So I have that. And then I have last contact. Okay, that last contact is going to be important for you to know when it's time to cycle back around and check in with them. Okay, so this is a little key. Now, I know people have categories of hot, medium, cold, cool leads like this. I have 2. This might go against other people's teaching, so incorporate everything that's good, or throw away what I said, or keep what I said, or incorporate everything. I believe that a lead is only hot when you're on the phone with them, or they're sitting in front of you in an intro or a training. Because that is the only time you have them in your presence. Here, I have them on the phone. So I need to do whatever it takes in that moment, knowing that I have a hot potential, someone who's interested. I'm going to do whatever it takes in the 5-step sales process to close them while they're hot. Because the moment I go like this, click, and put the phone down, they're cold. Or they're cooling down. Because I have that I have that theory in my head, and it's just a mindset. So that I am always looking to do whatever it takes on the first phone call. Because that first phone call, and I'm going to blow out something so ridiculous, that first phone call may be their only phone call. Not in life, like something bad's going to happen. It might be their only opening and of opportunity to make a change for themselves. And I know that this stuff, everything you see here listed, changes people's lives, saves lives. It saves lives, guys. Like, I don't want that responsibility on me, that I didn't do whatever it takes to help someone whose unconscious mind obviously picked up the phone and called me or put in an email request about taking a training. At some level, whatever happened right before they decided to put in a request, something at an unconscious level is like, we need change. And this is the beginning of the process. So I do whatever it takes on that first phone call. I do whatever it takes in an intro seminar. I do whatever it takes in the back of the practitioner training to inspire someone to keep their life empowered, as if I'll never see them again. Because I have no guarantee I can ever get them on the phone again. I have zero guarantee in this. Once I hang up, I can't go in the phone and grab them and make them pick up. I can't go inside somebody's body and have them dial my number. I don't have control over that. So I do whatever it takes. So that's why I categorize it hot and cold. I know that between hot and cold, there's a cooling down process, but I don't trick myself into warm, medium, spicy, picante, whatever. I don't do that because it will give me a false sense of relaxation, of I got all the time in the world. We don't have time. These people don't have time. The time to change is now. The time to change is in that moment that they're talking to you. So I categorize, and that's why the last contact date is important, because if I don't close them on the first call, I want to get them. Like if I just have an intro weekend and I don't contact them within the next 24 to 48 hours, you might as well just call them cold as ice. Okay, so that's how to manage leads right there. Okay, so after an intro, contact them right away. They're still in your trance of empowerment. If they didn't take action right there, they're still warm. Anything longer than that, like a week is like a year these days, guys. Think about how long does one day in the training room feel to you? How long? You can live 7 lifetimes in one day inside a training room. What's going on in these people's lives out there? I don't know. It could be like Groundhog Day. Maybe they're living the same day over and over again, but you don't know that. Time is not the way it exists anymore. So get them as close to the time where you have them in your empowerment zone, which is your intro, or you met them at a networking event. That was the conversation zone. You didn't close them right there, but good. Follow up with them right away, because that conversation will be fresh in their head. Plus you have all the information. You can fire their keywords or trigger that, like, hey, remember when we talked about how I'm so sorry that you just lost, a family member recently. I know you're not in a place to do any type of grief counseling, but when you know it's time to totally become 100% with that relationship that you just lost, I do trainings for that so people can, move easily and effortlessly towards their future and eliminate any inappropriate and unwarranted sadness so that you can move forward with your life, honor that person's memory, and just drop the sadness. Whatever it is, you get them as close to that conversation as was. If someone said they're interested in your practitioner training and you did whatever it takes in that conversation and they didn't enroll, then in the next 2 days, find a reason to call them. Even if they said, oh, I'll talk to you next Friday and it's Monday morning, just find a reason to get back in contact with them. Keep that open line, like, hey, I know we're going to talk on Friday so you can enroll in my training, but I just had this amazing idea about a video you can watch so that you know about timeline therapy. I just wanted to verify your email, or do you want me to send it on text message so you can just watch it on YouTube on your phone? Whatever it is, and just be like, okay, good. Well, I can't wait to talk to you on Friday. Be in their awareness. This is not annoying. This is taking care of a person who wants to do something with you. This is taking care of a relationship. This is being responsible as a coach. Okay, this is not, throw out the idea that's being annoying. Someone will tell you if it's annoying. Okay, so that's what to do when you first meet someone. Okay, let's say you look in the edit date and you're like, oh, I haven't contacted this person in a month or 3 months. Find a reason, either put on a seminar of what's of interest to them. Like you say, oh, that 6 people I haven't talked to in 3 months are interested in business. Okay, Maybe I'm putting on an NLP and business seminar. Cool. Good reason to call these guys. Hey, I know you're totally excited about taking your business to the next level. Guess what I have going on 2 weeks from now? Yes, an NLP and business seminar, and it'll give you the sneak preview of everything it takes to know the 5-step sales process and increase your sales by at least 50%. Some people even 90%. Whatever. Get them back on the phone, find another reason. Are you interested in coming? Yes or no? And if they say, yes, sign me up right now, cool, sign them up. It's like, oh, I can't do it that weekend. Okay. What about if I do another business or another one in the future? You want me to keep you on the list? Yes. Okay, cool. Are you interested in it? Yes or no? No, absolutely. I never want to talk to you again, you crazy lady. Okay, cool. Delete the whole line. No need to force them. Or you just say, okay, cool. Well, or they'll be like, oh, I can, and I'm busy for the rest of the year. That might be a brush off, like they don't want to tell you no, they're being polite. And I know we heard a lot of Canadians and Australians are polite. They might not tell you no, just be like, oh, okay, well, hey, listen, this is the second time I called you when you said you're busy for a year. I'm like, I won't take it personal. Are you really just not interested in anymore? Because again, I'd rather you just tell me no so I don't bother you anymore. Or if yes, then maybe you have someone that's interested in the next year. Someone will be like, oh, thank you. Yeah, I felt shy. I'm never going to have money to do this, and I don't want to have the money to do it, and I don't really want to have the time. So thank you. You can take me off the list, or no, keep me on the list because actually I do have some friends and family that are interested. So yeah, please contact me. Maybe next year my financial situation will be better. Okay, cool. So you give that person a reason to tell you yes or no. So that's how to manage the leads. And you can shuffle all those columns by birthday, whose birthday is coming next. Okay, cool, great. You can shuffle the columns in order, like in an Excel spreadsheet on the last time you made contact to them. Oh, it's been 3 months. Or you can highlight it. Okay, this is my 3-month category. Every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, I call all the people I haven't talked to in 3 months and try and sell them into a new thing. Or if they're people that want to come to a practitioner, any person that I haven't talked to, like all my follow-up is done on the first Tuesday of the month of old leads. The rest of the week is filled with, new quality, fresh, hot, spicy leads. Okay. So that way you can manage a system. Like always have one day a month that you call old. And I call that the day of resurrecting the dead. Okay. So like, those are the days I like to keep myself on my toes. Sometimes people are like, oh God, it's you again. No. Keeps me fresh, keeps me on my toes, keeps me hungry for the no's, because the more no's I get, the more yeses I'm collecting, and less time I'm spending on maybes, right? So that's what I do. Like, I know there's some leads that are like coming in from 4 years ago that I haven't talked to. And it's like, wow, I barely remember talking to this person. I'll just be like, hey, you interested? And they're like, wow, how did you remember me? This is amazing. You remembered my husband's name? I'm like, well, and I know you having a birthday coming up. I know you're a Taurus or a Cancer sign. Like, you have an incredible memory. I'm going to have to tell my entire office about this. You're a great, like, my sales team needs to learn whatever you're learning. Tell them to take an NLP training. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just using NLP, whatever in you have, okay? Good, I can move on from that because I know you had satisfaction on that, but that's from other people. But that's how you manage leads, okay? And that's how you prioritize them. Okay, Jenny, hi, and thank you for assisting us in the trainers training right now. Okay, how does one install the strategy of recognizing or labeling emotions for the pain paradigm? My client is highly dissociated. When asked, what emotion are you feeling? He says normal. And I love this. I was laughing so hard, Jenny, because just saying it for the first time out loud, it's funny because I've seen this before. I feel bored that you're asking me this question over and over again, but I feel normal. That's a good one. I feel normal. I still find it funny. He cannot verbalize any sensations either. I strongly suspect secondary gain, but assuming the absence of that, what would the process of recognizing sensation or labeling sensation be? Thank you. Okay, let's be clear. We want to actually avoid labeling sensation, because sensation is one of those things that people think is an emotion. what is making chronic pain possible? It's chronic dissociation of emotions. So we want them in this time to recognize the negative emotions of which they were unwilling to recognize and have it, or not willing to recognize, or suppressing, either way, so that the pain can disappear. Okay, so I know you probably meant that, but since you use sensation, I just want to be clear that it's not really a sensation that we're talking about here. We're talking, because we would ask them, what emotion are you feeling now, if they said a sensation. Okay, so, but I have seen this happen with my own clients, and I actually saw this happen during my master practitioner course that Tad and Adriana were teaching almost 8 years ago, or 7 years ago. So one strategy, okay, let's just say what emotion you're feeling now, and they can't get it, but assuming you're going to always work to 100% when they get it down to 0. Okay, so let's just say this is not possible, and you're trying to teach, you got them down to a 0 in the setting, and you want to teach them a strategy for recognizing emotions then. So that's what happened with Tad. He was working with an Israeli-born man who was living in another country in the Middle East, and not to stereotype, and it might sound like a stereotype, but it's just what I've seen, and what people who from this part of the world tell me is that they are more highly dissociated for whatever reason. So he helped this person who got his pain down to 0, but it was a struggle. It was probably almost a 40-minute process. Reject that. You're going to do it as fast as you can in the front of your master practitioner training, but it was hard because he was only saying concepts. He literally, everything was out of his mouth was a concept. And we've seen this people before, because those are the reason why those people have chronic pain. So he gave him an assignment, because he realized in the future to have a proper strategy to recognize the negative emotions. He told him to go into the thesaurus and get all the synonyms for anger, then all of them for sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and write it out on an index card so that he would be able to recognize what an emotion is, and it works. So I actually had a client this way, because of course what you see, somehow you'll attract in a coaching situation. So my first client ever to do a pain paradigm, and she's in the master trainer program, but she was this is how far your clients can go. My client, when I was in master practitioner, was my client then back in South Florida. And then she was so inspired by what I did that she did master trainer training. All the trainers training is currently in the master trainer program with the Tad James Company. So that's what kind of impact you can have when you do a technique like this. But anyway, she was so highly dissociated then that literally every time what are you feeling now? It feels like the whole world is against me right now. It was just like, and she's like, I know I'm feeling an emotion, I just don't know how to put a word on it. And I was like, ding. Because in order to keep the pain clear, I had to give her a strategy. So I gave her that one, and it worked. She's like, I like knowing that I have all these different emotions, because she was so against identifying that she had anger. So she could identify with extreme frustration and irritation. That was okay. That was the label for her. Good. So it helped her actually label her emotions, and she's been pain-free forever. I'm smiling because she's probably watching this. Okay, beautiful. I hope that helped, and I hope we're clear about labeling a sensation, because a sensation is pain or shock. I think shock is okay. So anyway, moving forward. All right. I looked at the time. Okay, well, I'm just going to answer this because it's Wanda's question, and then I'll sum up the 2 that came in there. But they're all going to get answered. So, Wanda asks, currently I am Wanda in Puerto Rico. Hello. Currently, I'm focused on structuring my business in Puerto Rico as an NLP coach for individuals and small business. As my 2019 goals, I would like to launch the Spanish version of The Secret of Creating Your Future, redesigned, of course. In addition, I want to translate some of the material from the PRAC and the Master PRAC and the NLP for Business to start my own seminars for the general population and or business. I already contacted Candace at the boards of the Timeline Therapy Association for the legal advice in these regards. As for the certifications, PRAC and Master PRAC, I don't see them starting until late 2020. Having this plan, and since I haven't taken Secret of Creating Your Future, is there any coaching assistance possibilities? Would coaching in a prac training be close enough for having behind the scene experience? Thanks in advance. Yes, Wanda, I know you were on the chat yesterday, but for everybody else asking, currently in the USA, we don't have any Secret of Creating Your Future seminar events available to the general public. We are doing, Tad and Adriana and Steph Shea are hired for private organizations to do these trainings at this time, so we have nothing public running in the US. I believe they do still have some of these trainings available in Australia. If that's ever a desire of yours, contact Connor or Callum in the Australia office and ask to be on their assistance team for that, or you can message something on the forum and I'll put you in contact with them. It would be valuable to see that. However, I'm going to talk about what we have available here in the US, since Wanda, you'd be coming from Puerto Rico here, and just in general. It actually would probably, you will get way more valuable one-on-one time with me if you assist during a practitioner, because then I have so much time. I have 7 days to not only guide you on what it takes in the back end of the training business, like, building rapport, building value, closing deals, handling objections, because that's really what you're going to be doing that from the front of the room, really, in a Secret of Creating Your Future event type seminar, because you're sitting in front of the room, moving the group forward to have breakthroughs, but also you're going to be doing almost the entire sales process from up there as well, especially if it's just you. If you have coaching assistants, they'll help you be closing, but you're always peppering in the next level of the training. So you will gain valuable experience of that, because you're going to get to go through the whole 5-step sales process during the context of the training and just see what makes the training business so magical from the back end of it. What the students don't see out of their awareness actually adds a lot to the benefit. And as a coaching assistant, if you've ever worked with me or anybody else as a coaching assistant, you get to see so many little intricacies of what makes, the training business so magical. Because there's so many things going behind the scenes, like so much love that the coaching assistants bring to the room to help these breakthroughs and transformations happen and help people to go to the next level, and to also help the trainers be able to more smoothly move forward in the training, staying on time and closing the rollovers for the company. So it is an invaluable experience. It is something that will enrich your life and bring such good business coming back to you, because what you put out, you always get in return. So yes, the audio collection for the Secret of Creating Your Future will help you get all the content necessary, which is, I know why people want to see the Secret of Creating Your Future delivered. But remember, the Secret of Creating Your Future audio collection is just Tad delivering a live Secret of Creating Your Future training. Like, so much so that I think you can even hear the presentation click, like, so that's how live it is. He's going through the presentation and everything. So yes, assisting in any shape or form is going to help you know how to move everything more smoothly in the process, and especially at the Secret of Creating Your Future. And because if you ever worked with me in a Secret of Creating Your Future before, I don't have that much time to spend with you, because we only have 2 days. There's only a certain amount of breaks in each day. And each break, I need to talk to as many people as possible, because I need to build value and close them in as quick an amount of time. We're all in sales here now, right? So I don't have to, I never did sales on you when you were here, but that's what my focus is. It's like, I want to make sure I know each of those students in the training so much so that I can move them quickly through the sales process, so that they come to the training where they get the most empowerment. So I don't have that much time to spend mentoring you guys as a coaching assistant in the Secret of Creating Your Future, because it's all out sales, especially the last day and the last 2 hours of the day. It's like, and it's like, I can't talk right now. So a prac you'll have so much time with me to learn things. And I'm an open book when it comes to sales. Like, I love the business aspect of this, of the trainings. I love the business aspect of coaching. It's what drives me. It's what excites me. So if you have questions about content, I'm not going to get that excited because it's already been created. So it's like, but when you ask me questions about how to overcome objections or how to do sales or how to move from like step 1 in 5 steps sales process to 2, 3, 4, you know, like that lights me up. That excites me. That motivates me. I'll make all the time in the world for that. You know, that's what I love. So master practitioner, come there. You have 2 full weeks with me to do that. Or other trainings, you know, Steph and Shay, Tad and Adrienne, they love this stuff. Connor, Callum, they're all there. I think Feeney is doing sales and in the back of the room there. Like, work with these people who love sales. They're going to talk to you, especially if you're helping with the team goal. We can like work side by side, and you can learn from me by hearing me overcome objections or how to frame certain things a certain way. So that's fun. Trainers training the same thing. So you will get a wealth of experience in what it'll take in your business, despite the content. The content really doesn't matter again. It's the whole process of the training. Okay, beautiful. And I'm going to wrap up soon, but Christina and Vered had 2 questions that popped in last minute. I wasn't able to handle it yesterday. I'm going to handle it now since we're on a recording. And if it's getting too long for you, then fast forward to your part of the questions. Okay, Christina in Romania. She wanted to know, in a business setting, if timeline therapy is a good idea to do in a team building training. That's I can't read my own handwriting. This, I think it's like, you know, will it be a good idea to do in a corporate training? And if not, what's a typical topic? Okay, so, and then she gave me examples like, is it rapport, sensory acuity, language, timeline therapy, negative emotions? So I would do this. If a company is hiring you specifically to do some type of team building training, I would do a needs assessment first. What is it? Why do they think they need team building? Okay, because that will get me, because some people think they need something, but that might not be, they might be dealing with the surface level problem, which looks like team building, but really you want to get the deeper structure and just see what it is. Like, okay, what's the need? Get the whole problem of the company, or maybe it's not a problem. Maybe they've been running at a certain level, all been good, but they need a drastic jump for them to get their like huge sales goals this year, or huge, you know, go into a new market in another country or whatever it will take. Get their needs assessment. And then, like I told you with the intro, or how to build a seminar or how to build a training, work backwards from what they need. If it seems like something that there's like massive discordance within the company, and it has a lot to do with major negative emotions, then sure, do timeline therapy, do group timeline therapy with them. If it seems like their sales, you know, aren't where they need to be, maybe their team isn't motivated the way they should, you know, you can do maybe even a secret of creating your future type thing, because then, you know, you can, you know, tackle negative emotions, lack of motivation, because maybe they have a lot towards motivation. Maybe the managers are using away from motivation and it's driving the sales team down, or maybe they're using too much towards motivation and nobody's motivated because there's too many away from motivated people there. Get the needs assessment and then pick the concepts and put them in there, and then design it in a flow that makes sense towards your outcome as a business owner and their outcome of what they need. Okay. And when you're hired for a job like this, make like, if you're hired like as a coaching contract, make their need just as much as yours. Like, your need to provide a valuable experience for these coaches, for these clients, will drive you to give them the best possible training. So that will be like an equal thing. Like, if I'm guessing that you're already being hired for this. So I hope that answered your question. I think there was a lot in the seminar, this webinar, that built to that question. But anyway, yeah, get the needs assessment, because if someone's hiring you for a consulting or coaching or business contract, you want to be so valuable to them. And how do you know unless you ask questions? And I've been in a situation before where, like, we need a communications training and we need it fast. So I'm like hustling, making all these communications things. When I get in there, it wasn't that at all. These people had perfect communication. It was just, they were they were communicating in a really angry way with one another because the head sales manager was doing highly passive aggressive, demotivating, away from motivating, slick things in the company, and was just actually installing a lot of fear tactics with them because that's the way he was. He didn't know. So I had to like kind of get the troops together. There wasn't a general communication problem. It was the lack of understanding that the way you do things in your own head is different than the way other people do it, and how I'm motivated is different than how you're motivated, and to get people on the same page. So it was more like getting to understand meta programs, language, towards and away from type of things. That was the communication, the internal communication, understanding internal communication. So it was a different, and the needs assessment, I learned from that, needs to be done before you start shucking and jiving and trying to create something that's amazing, and then it's like falls on deaf ears because that's not really the problem. Okay, moving on. Verid asked, and she was on the webinar yesterday, and I'm sorry, I saw the question pop up in the feed and I ran out of time. So Verid says, what is the best way to structure an NLP and timeline therapy practitioner training? I'm doing one in May and I want to know what to say to my prospective students. Okay. Best way to structure the NLP and timeline therapy practitioner training is give yourself a little bit more time than you think. Like standard in an NLP practitioner training, pretty much the first 4 days is all the NLP up and through parts integration. Okay. And then sometimes a little bit on day 4, but all of, cut it, sorry, erase, halfway day 4, we're starting timeline therapy, okay? And then all the way on day 5, we're doing all timeline therapy, okay? So that's how we do it here, but also Tad and Adriana, Steph and Shay, and Brad and Callum teach this over and over and over again. So their format is, really tight. So if this is your first one, build in maybe an extra full day so that you feel like you're breezing through it and you got all the time in the world instead of playing catch up like every day. So if we do it in 5, maybe you want to schedule in 6. Okay, because the worst thing that happens is you have either build in extra exercise time, or on the 6th day, you help them figure out how to utilize it all. Like you like map it out for those high AD people that want the checklist and how to do a step by step by step. You can unpack it for them that day. You can be creative on that day. You can do a whole like unpacking all the questions that they've ever had in their life on that day in reference to NLP and timeline therapy. Okay, so that's one thing. So by way of structure, you can schedule. So if it's May, count out 6 days. So May 6th through the 11th. Yeah, May 6th through the 11th or whatever. And obviously, I know your culture. I know that, and I think about it this way too. Like I always think of what major holidays are going to fall around this time so that I don't exclude anyone. So in the US, any major Jewish holidays or Christian holidays, we try not to schedule that, thinking about Mother's Day, when, even think about when the clocks change. Oh, Super Bowl Sunday, people are gonna be like, no, I have to watch football. These are important things. Easter, Passover, Christmas, New Year's, all that. Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah. I know Hanukkah is a little different. I mean, some people show up, some don't, but like high holidays. So all these things, think about. So May, I was thinking about this. You said May, make sure it's not falling on Mother's Day. 1, because I know you're a mother, and 2, a lot of moms will be like, no, I can't, Mother's Day, sorry. They'll make an excuse for anything if they don't want to go. Let's be real. Like it's just an objection. I don't have time. And then you have to remove it. So I would just already set yourself up for success and not give anybody an excuse not to go based on a holiday. So let's say May 6th through 11th. I don't know if that falls on a holiday. I don't know, many people are taking off during the Omer, which is normally during that time. So that's what I would say to that. And then what to let your students know. We've had this conversation before in the last webinar, and I've had this before with you on the phone, Very, but I'll say for other people, besides the dates and the pricing, you sell the benefits of your training, and just highlight the features if they're going there for certification, okay? Don't go into every single detail, minute by minute, day by day. Oh, and then you walk in the classroom and you register, and then you sit in the seat and you learn about, you know, peripheral vision and la la la. No. Get big picture, general, the benefits of learning NLP and timeline therapy for themselves in a personal development standpoint, and for them as people who are going to be becoming NLP practitioners and timeline therapy practitioners. Give them both. But before you give any perspective things, you need to ask questions. So don't be shooting in the dark. When you start talking about your NLP practitioner training, you're already in the beginning steps of a 5-step sales process. So we ask questions and then know what's important to them, and then tell them the benefits and a little bit of features. Okay, in coaching, you don't really go into features, but for someone who's going to become certified, go into features. You're going to learn how to do a process that we call in the field anchoring, and that will allow you to get your client into any positive state, no matter how shitty the day is. They can pop right out of it, put their feet on the ground, grab the resource anchor, and just be totally motivated. And guess what? When you're learning to do something for your client, you're also learning how to do this for yourself as well. And just build it up. Timeline therapy, amazing. From a personal development perspective, in 2 full days, you're going to learn everything you need to know to let go of all your anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, anything from the past, like I'm not good enough, I can't make all the money I want, I can't have the best relationship on the face of this earth. And you'll be able to get that results for your clients. And guess what? After you learn timeline therapy, you'll be able to guarantee your results as a coach. And I don't know any profession out there, not the medical industry, not the most high paid attorney in the world, that can guarantee the results and put a stamp on it, but you can. So right there, I'm going to end on Barrett's question, and I want to thank you all again for being such amazing student participants in the Master Trainer Program, amazing coaching assistants, dedicated to the field of transformation in this world so that the future timeline of this planet goes in the most amazing direction in the world, because that's what we're doing. This is a morphinogenic field. This is a place, a community where like-minded people get together and make a strong impact on this world and fulfill our own lives in the process by developing ourselves and having fun and getting to communicate. I think that I believe it was Alan Jensen, who just became a master trainer this year, said to me so beautifully, and this is the power of the Master Trainer Program, and anyone who's been in this field long enough knows the truth in this, because the more empowered you get and the more aligned you get and the more congruent you get, the narrower the path is of people that you actually want to be around, right? Like we have our friends and family from the past. Of course, they're near and dear to our heart. Some of them are blood related. Some of them are just old friends from the past, but ones that can understand us where we are now and reject this if this doesn't apply, of course, but it's something I've experienced. The people that understand us now, it's a narrow path. So when I asked Alan Jensen, who I knew was going to become a master trainer last year, if he wanted to join us for a trainer's training next year in 2019 in Las Vegas, he goes, "Oh, of course, I already booked my Airbnb. These are my friends. These are my family. Why wouldn't I want to be here? Why wouldn't I want to spend summer with that?" And it's just has nothing to do with assisting, right? It has everything to do, it's like that mindset. It's like we might be in individual places in the world, isolated from other people in the training industry. I'm extremely blessed and lucky that I work in this industry within the context of the Tad James Company every day. And I work alongside my friends and my family in the field, right? And all of my friends and all my support system are NLP trained. I'm lucky. I'm surrounded by these people. But we get this opportunity through this forum and through the helping each other out as we develop our businesses, or we assist in different trainings. We get to communicate and be part of a community, no matter where we are on the globe, with like-minded people who are going in the same direction. And we get to bounce ideas with them and have friendships or family in this, or just be in this together. So thank you for everyone who makes this forum possible and all the trainings possible, and just making the group so dynamic and strong and powerful. And thank you for joining us. Until next time, be well and be empowered.